Chapter 568. Su Yan's battle physique shone brightly. He stood tall among the mountains and rivers, and no one dared to look directly at him. The world was silent. Although there was a vicious aura in the shattered mountains and rivers, this world was too peaceful. Even the drop of a needle could be heard. Everyone present was silent. Even the soldiers charging from all directions of the ancestral hall stiffened their bodies. They pointed at Su Yin and trembled slightly. However, they could not say anything. It could be seen that the hearts of most of the ancestral hall's soldiers were filled with fear. It was as if a cold gust of wind had swept over them. The countless living beings gathered in the surroundings all felt their hearts fluster. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. That person was actually trampling Zhu Onbong beneath his feet, and even stomping his head into the mud. Even Sundome and King Flash were shocked. Just now, it was clear that Zhu Onbong's battle prowess was extraordinary. After all, he had used all of his strength. However, they felt that something unexpected had happened during the exchange, which led to Zhu Onbong being defeated by Su Yin. What kind of problem was it that Su Yin could suppress the supreme physique? They couldn't figure out, but there was no suspense. Zhu Onbong was crushed under Su Yan's foot, and his body was torn apart. What a tragic ending. Zhu Onbong, who should have swept through the Divinity Mountain range in a stunning manner, had just appeared, and he hadn't even fought a glorious battle before he was defeated by Su Yin. The Ancestral Hall's people couldn't bear such a blow. Some old cultivators couldn't help but scream. They felt that Zhu Onbong was qualified to share the Divinity Mountain range with Sun Dome and the others. But the result was blood splattering everywhere. Heavens, that's Zhu Onbong, the celestial battle physique, the Ancestral Hall's little ancestor. In the end, a large number of cultivators cried out in disbelief. Zhu Onbong had been crushed, and he was the son of the Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor. He alone was enough to represent the Ancestral Hall's honor. But now, they were being trampled under the feet of a rising star of the burial realm. What kind of humiliation was this? They couldn't believe it, and goosebumps appeared all over their bodies. Zhu Onbong's status was simply too high. Now that he was being trampled on by Su Yin, if news of this spread, the entire Ancestral Hall would be shaken. Perhaps the Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor would personally make a move and slaughter his way to Divinity Mountain Range. At this time, the almighty experts no longer cared about their reputation. The Ancestral Hall and the Burial Realm had a blood feud that could not be resolved. The Ancestral Hall would not allow Su Yin to continue growing. He had already slaughtered his way into this domain. If Su Yin became a god in the future, he would become an overlord of the universe. Zhu Onbong wasn't completely dead yet. He let out a blood-curdling scream. He was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. His head was crushed beneath Su Yan's foot. No matter how much light surged from Zhu Onbong's body, it couldn't threaten Su Yin at all. Little ancestor! Countless soldiers roared, and they surged over like crazy. They let out heart-wrenching roars, and one after another, their hearts burned with fury. They were incomparably sorrowful and furious. No matter what, Zhu Onbong couldn't die under Su Yan's feet. His glorious path hadn't begun yet. The Ancestral Hall had paid a huge price for him, all for the sake of waiting for Zhu Onbong to rise up and become an independent figure. But it hadn't even begun yet. How could Zhu Onbong die in such a humiliating manner? Scram! Su Yan's long black hair danced in the wind like a waterfall. Killing intent surged in his eyes as he let out a long roar that could shatter mountains and rivers. Rolling golden ripples swept in all directions. His roar turned the surrounding thousands of miles into a vacuum zone. Who dared to come? Su Yin further unearthed the potential of his physique. The source of blood essence in his body was revived once more. His battle prowess was even more tyrannical and monstrous than before. Without supreme battle prowess in the great Dao realm, who could stop him? No! At the same time, Su Yin exerted force with his foot. Zhu Onbong howled miserably. He was in extreme pain. Even his primordial spirit was suppressed by Su Yin, and his entire physical body was sealed. Even if he still had methods to turn the tables, He couldn't use them anymore. Su Yan, stop. If you kill our little ancestor, do you think you'll be able to escape from the divine spiritual mountain range alive? An old expert roared. He didn't dare to provoke Su Yan with an overly aggressive attitude. He warned, he is the son of our clan's great figure. If you kill him, our clan's great figure will definitely fly into a rage and attack the divine spiritual mountain range. It's impossible for the divine spiritual mountain range to stop the great figure now. Moreover, our clan still has the supreme treasure, the heaven refining furnace. Su Yan, stop. This isn't good for either of us. Let little ancestor go, and we can pretend that nothing happened today. You can leave immediately. Our ancestral hall definitely won't stop you. Countless great killing formations were set up all around this vast resource land. An aura that suffocated all living things was released. No one doubted the ancestral hall's determination. If Zhu Onbong really died here, the ancestral hall would pay any price to deal with Su Yan. Take out 100 jars of great Tao evolution liquid, and I'll spare him, Su Yan replied. His words stunned all of the cultivators present. Using Zhu Onbong as a bargaining chip, Zhu Onbong couldn't take this humiliation. He roared furiously. Kill me if you have the guts. Kill me. Su Yan, you've gone too far. A veteran expert of the ancestral hall was furious. 100 jars of great Tao evolution liquid? Why don't you just rob us instead? Who could bear this price? Even the peak clans would find it difficult to pay such a price. Moreover, handing it over to Su Yan was the same as helping the enemy. You're targeting me? I'm robbing you. Su Yan's cold eyes scanned the surroundings. He sneered. What? 100 jars are too little? Do you want me to add another 100 jars of great Tao evolution liquid? If you want me to spare Zhu Onbong, then pay the ransom immediately. It'll be too late if I regret my decision. Bastard. The experts of the ancestral hall, who had gathered from all directions, were furious. 100 jars of great Tao evolution liquid was a resource that could only be spent with the approval of a great expert. This kind of resource was enough to make even the ancient aristocratic families turn green with envy. Apart from the top 10 peak clans, who else in the universe could take out 100 jars of great Tao evolution liquid? After all, this was a limited resource and couldn't be mass-produced. Just like the Saint, Grade Heaven, and Earth Source Plasma, they couldn't take out a few 100 kilograms. Kill me if you have the guts. Zhu Onbong was so angry that he was about to explode. He was being sold as a slave. Do you think I don't dare? Su Yan exerted force with his foot. Zhu Onbong's injuries worsened. He let out a painful roar, and the damage to his body worsened. He was about to shatter under Su Yan's foot. Stop, we'll give it to you. The eyes of the old experts turned red. Someone roared, but we can't take out 100 jars now. Give us 10 days, and we'll give you 100 jars of great Tao evolution liquid after 10 days. I want it now. If you don't give it to me, I'll borrow it. Su Yan shouted coldly. Of course, take out 20 jars first, and he can live for one more day. 20 jars of great Tao evolution liquid in exchange for one more day of Zhu Onbong's life? Everyone in the surroundings was shocked. Wasn't this lion asking for too much? He was taking advantage of the situation. Gotcha! Just as the experts of the ancestral hall were discussing countermeasures, they heard the sound of bones cracking. They saw that Zhu Onbong's battle constitution had worsened, and this made them lose control. Su Yan didn't give them any time. I'll give you 10 jars first. A senior elder with greater prestige made the decision to give 10 jars to Su Yan first. The onlookers didn't expect Su Yan to really give it to them. Some felt that the ancestral hall was stalling for time. It seemed a little impossible for Su Yan to let Zhu Onbong go. Of course, I'm not giving it to you. The eyes of the ancestral hall's elders were filled with resentment. They all lost control and shouted angrily, Su Yan, no matter what, our ancestral hall can't make a deal with you. Then, the surroundings were in an uproar. Everyone saw that the Sun Dome and King Flash, who were standing in the distance, had arrived. The might of the supreme beings of these two star domains was overwhelming. They could be said to be two grand and majestic star domains of the universe. They were operating horizontally here, emitting fluctuations that could swallow the universe. Just how powerful were these two? Whether it was the Sun Dome or King Flash, they both possessed the strongest battle prowess. If someone could defeat either of them, they would definitely be qualified to be conferred the title of Supreme Being. Right now, there were only 4 such experts in the entire universe. Moreover, who could be sure that neither the Sun Dome nor King Flash was a Supreme Being? The Supreme Beings of the star domains of the most powerful life forms ancient stars were the strongest characters. They were unfathomable, and now the two of them had joined forces to force their way over. This is bad. Many people's expressions changed. Su Yin couldn't possibly withstand the combined attacks of 2 star domain Supreme Beings. One was fine, but 2 Su Yin. The Sun Dome stood with his hands behind his back like a son of the great Tao. His body surged with rich golden divine radiance. As his might recovered, 9 great suns appeared, as if 9 layers of the universe were pressing down. The world seemed to be suppressed. The Sun Dome said coldly, "The Ancestral Hall promised to give me 10 jars of great Tao evolution elixir to protect Zhu Onbong." King Flash also walked over. He had also received a promise. The great Tao evolution elixir was enough for them to take action. Moreover, they also suspected that Su Yin was the great thief who had stolen the substance of creation. Both of them wanted that item, so they wouldn't give up this opportunity. Even if the Ancestral Hall didn't ask them to take action, the supreme beings of the 2 star domains would still target Su Yin. Now, they even stood out to protect Zhu Onbong. Everyone in the surroundings felt their hair stand on end. They all wanted to know what choice Su Yin would make. "Su Yin, if you let little ancestor go now, we can give you 10 jars of great Tao evolution elixir." Someone from the Ancestral Hall secretly transmitted, "This is good for everyone. What do you think?" "I don't think so. I want 100 jars, not 1 less." Su Yin shook his head lightly in response. His words made the faces of the 2 star domain supreme beings sink. They shouted at the same time, "Don't court death. I advise you not to provoke me." Su Yin replied. Sun Dome and King Flash's faces darkened. Killing intent appeared in their eyes, and a terrifying killing intent stirred in their hearts. Even if they killed Su Yin now, he might very well become a powerful enemy in the future. At this moment, Shui Guan walked over. With his hands behind his back, he looked down at the shattered mountains and rivers and said coldly, "Tao brothers, can you let me have Su Yin?" At this moment, the group of old experts in the Ancestral Hall laughed cruelly. The 3 young titans had stood out. Su Yin couldn't escape, unless he could bring a supreme being here to suppress the situation. The 3 unrivaled titans of the same generation stood between heaven and earth. Their divine might was awe-inspiring, and they all possessed world-shaking battle strength and released terrifying battle intent. Chapter 569. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Things had developed too quickly, and they couldn't react in time. Can Su Yin kill his way out? Some people's breathing became heavy. If the 3 young titans really joined forces against Su Yin, he might be able to put up a fight against an all-heavenly supreme. However, Su Yin had only matured for a short period of time. How could his battle prowess reach the all-heavenly supreme level? If the 3 of them insisted on joining forces, Su Yin would undoubtedly die. This is a terrifying turn of events. The Divine Mountain Range will lose 2 titans. It's very likely that Sun Dome and King Flash will split the territory between them. That's right. I reckon Su Yan's doomsday is really coming. Someone speculated. First of all, even if Zhu Onbong survived, his injuries were so severe that he would definitely have to return to his clan to recuperate. It was very likely that he wouldn't come to the Divine Mountain Range again. As for Shui Guan's strength, while they acknowledged it, Sun Dome and King Flash represented 2 peak clans. Shui Guan didn't have the right to split the treasures with them. In that case, most of the future treasures of the Divine Mountain Range would probably end up in their pockets. Su Yin, release him immediately. Those from the Ancestral Hall couldn't hold on any longer. The longer they delayed, the more serious Zhu Onbong's injuries would become. Once his foundation was damaged, there would be no hope for him to climb back up in the future. Killing intent surged between heaven and earth. The three titans stood in the void, all of them staring at Su Yin. Su Yin, release Zhu Onbong, and the two of us can withdraw and leave this place to you. King Flash muttered to himself for a moment before speaking. You want them to join forces to deal with Su Yin? With Sundome and King Flash's prestige, they wouldn't stoop so low as to join forces to kill Su Yin. They agreed to leave the battlefield to Shueguan. This way, they could clearly see how powerful Shueguan was. In fact, after Su Yin died, they could even take away the fortune substance. This was really killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Su Yin, make your decision. Shueguan clasped his hands behind his back and looked majestic. He stared at Su Yin and said coldly, "Otherwise, you won't have another chance. You won't have lived in vain after this glorious battle." Ha ha ha. Su Yin let out a peal of laughter. He grabbed Zhu Onbong's ankle and walked toward them step by step. Everyone's faces paled. The Ancestral Hall's troops were enraged, on the verge of rushing forward. Su Yin was humiliating Zhu Onbong. He grabbed Zhu Onbong's ankle and dragged his blood-soaked body through the ruined forest. Zhu Onbong was so furious that he felt like he was going to explode. The humiliation he had suffered today had left him in despair. How was he supposed to face anyone in the future? Su Yin grabbed Zhu Onbong's half-dead body as if he were wielding a weapon. His entire body began to radiate an aura that could devour rivers and mountains. Boom! The entire territory was undulating, constantly shaking from the pressure coming from Su Yan's body. The mountains, rivers, and earth were rippling with vast energy ripples. This was the burning battle blood in Su Yan's body, blazing to the heavens as it was released. Sundome and King Flash's expressions darkened. What was Su Yin doing? Since you're already here, wouldn't it be a pity if you left? Su Yin used Zhu Onbong as a weapon. He dragged him by the ankle and forced him toward the 3 experts. He shouted coldly, "Do you really think that I, Su Yin, am that easy to bully? Since you want to target me, today is the perfect day. The 3 of you can come at me together." These words were like divine thunder, exploding in the ears of the surrounding cultivators. The crowd of heroes, who were surrounded to the point that not even a drop of water could trickle through, trembled. They were stunned by Su Yan's words. Asking the 3 of them to attack together, they all thought that they had misheard. Sundome and the other 2, any one of them could be called a peerless figure. Their battle prowess was immeasurable. Any one of them could be unrivaled in the starry skies. But now, Su Yin wanted the 3 of them to come at him together. Was he not courting death? He's really courting death. Madman Su. He can't really be a madman, right? Some of the old experts had goosebumps all over their bodies. They admitted that Su Yin was strong and had an invincible disposition. However, no matter how strong he was, wanting to challenge the 3 of them at once was akin to digging his own grave. Say that again? King Flash said coldly. Thick lightning crackled around his body. Everyone could sense King Flash's anger. Lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled in the sky above him. Fierce winds howled. Vaguely, the majestic great Tao of the Star Domain was projected here, suppressing all the kings. The aura in the field was suffocating. Terrifying air currents pervaded the bodies of the 3 experts, as if 3 gods and devils were awakening. Some people looked at Su Yin, who was still walking towards them. He was dragging a supreme being as his weapon. His majestic bearing became more and more imposing. Divine light erupted from his body, surging with terrifying domain energy. All kinds of destructive ripples undulated in this area. They hadn't started fighting yet, but their auras were surging. Just the divine might of their auras alone wasn't something that ordinary cultivators could contend against. Retreat, they're really going to fight. Many people were trembling. They frantically retreated, distancing themselves from this suffocating world. This was because they all discovered that the vast territory was self-destructing. It was as if layers of formless destructive storms were sweeping over, destroying the mountains, rivers, and earth. The area within tens of thousands of miles was about to become a no-man's land. Only the auras of the four young titans were still being released and awakened. They were like sleeping dragons that were raging. Don't you understand human language? Suyin lifted Zhu Onbong up and sneered. Since you're here, then don't care about your face. Don't speak nonsense. Bring it on. You're arrogant. The anger of the three experts was unleashed. The world completely changed color. Three boundless and terrifying energy domains were released. It could be said that 3 layers of supreme divine might that could suppress all kings descended from the sky, surging with the power of the heavens. The world trembled. Who could withstand this kind of might? These were 3 young titans joining hands to kill Su Yin. The people of the Ancestral Hall were very excited. They felt that Su Yin was courting death. Wasn't he digging a hole for himself by angering the 3 young titans? Immediately after, the expressions of these excited Ancestral Hall experts changed greatly. Their scalps went numb. They shouted in alarm and anger, "Stop! Su Yin, stop right now! Let's talk things over! Let's talk things over!" Su Yin swung his arm. Then, like a weapon, he swung Zhu Onbong. "Since you want Zhu Onbong so much, I can fulfill your wish right now." Su Yin shouted coldly. He used Zhu Onbong as a weapon, swinging him forward and smashing him. Mother Asterisk Kerr, King Flash and Sun Dome were so angry that their faces turned ashen. They were really afraid now. If they charged over like this and Zhu Onbong really died, who would be the one to blame then? They didn't want to shoulder a blood debt for no reason. As the person involved, Zhu Onbong was so angry that he almost fainted. He was the son of the Grand Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor. Now that he was being humiliated like this by Su Yin, he really felt that he would rather die. "Where do you think you're going?" Su Yin shouted. He swung his human-shaped weapon and smashed it forward ferociously, as if he was chasing after the 3 young titans. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They saw the 3 young titans and quickly retreated. They really didn't want to go crazy with Su Yin. If they accidentally killed Zhu Onbong, the Ancestral Hall would definitely vent their anger on them. One had to know that Dao Zhu Onbong was the son of a great expert, but Su Yin said, "Where do you think you're going?" This made them so angry that they couldn't think clearly. They really wanted to turn around and curse without any grace. "Sundome, King Flash, didn't you want to ask me some questions? Why are you running now?" Su Yin chased after them. He shouted, "Don't run. Let's talk nicely. Don't you want Zhu Onbong? I'll give him to you. Don't run." His berating voice spread far and wide. Many of the onlookers began to doubt their lives. That was Zhu Onbong. Now, he was being swung around by Su Yin. Su Yin's arm was like a wheel as he chased after Sun Dome and King Flash. He wanted to use Zhu Onbong as a weapon. No one doubted Su Yin's determination. He would definitely use Zhu Onbong as a meat shield. Sun Dome and King Flash really didn't have any temper left. They could only avoid the commotion. They really didn't want to have anything to do with Zhu Onbong's death. The people from the Ancestral Hall were also mad with anger. How were they supposed to deal with Su Yin in this state? In any case, if they charged over, the other party would use a humanoid weapon to attack them. Zhu Onbong was already so injured that he couldn't afford to be riled up. "Shueguan, why the hell are you running?" Su Yin was like a warrior. In the process of chasing after Shueguan, he wanted to make a move. He pointed at the retreating Shueguan and angrily rebuked, "Stop right there. Didn't you always want to share the high ground with me? Now, I'll give you a chance." Shueguan's face was dark. He didn't say a word and retreated leisurely. "Why the hell are you running? Get over here and fight me like a man." Su Yin continued to berate Zhu and as he chased after the 3 young titans. This scene left the spectators speechless. This kind of fighting style was simply too shameless. Who would dare to charge forward with Zhu Onbong as a meat shield? "You old bastard from the Ancestral Hall, I don't think you're much. The experts you invited ran away as soon as they saw me." Su Yin turned back to look at the flustered and exasperated Ancestral Hall experts. He sneered and said, "I should be careful now. Zhu Onbong can't sell without 150 jars of Great Dao Evolution Liquid. I want at least 150 jars. No bargaining. Zhu Onbong was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. He fainted and didn't want to say another word. Su Yan, you demon, you're going too far. The ancestral hall's people were so angry that they were spitting fire. He raised the price immediately, and it was even F** King raised by 50 jars. Su Yan, you won't be able to escape. I advise you to think carefully. Sun Dome and the other two stood in the distance with gloomy expressions. They wouldn't leave easily, but they wouldn't give up easily either. The entire Ancestral Hall's resource land had been completely surrounded. The Ancestral Hall's troops had all charged over, including the remnants of the dark underworld race. Come if you have the guts. I'm staying here for a long time. Fight your way in if you have the ability. When Su Yan saw that they didn't dare to attack, he immediately crossed to the spatial palace hidden in the Great Mountain. At the same time, he planted 2 large flags on the Great Mountain. Zhu Onbong had 150 jars of Great Dao Evolution Liquid, and Yin Xian had 80 jars of Great Dao Evolution Liquid. As long as you're willing to pay, I'll let you go immediately. Chapter 570. The cultivators were dumbfounded. They didn't know what to say. The Ancestral Hall and Yin Xian were tied up by Su Yan and treated as goods to be sold. Many people felt that Su Yan had really been driven mad. Yin Xian's matter had angered the 2 divine kings. Now that Zhu Onbong's matter was spread out, how bad would the impact be? In the spatial palace, Su Yan first erased Zhu Onbong's mark and directly took the spatial palace for himself. This item was extremely valuable. It was a very rare spatial palace. Needless to say, it was filled with treasures. Just its defensive power alone was terrifying. It could even be used as a cave. If this item appeared in an auction, it would fetch a sky-high price. After all, it was a spatial palace refined by God. Su Yan directly took the palace for himself. His expression was grave. First, Su Yan took out Qi Gao's spatial treasure. Since this old thing is working with the Tiger Ancestral Hall, he definitely has the confidence to leave. Su Yan thought to himself. His current situation was very bad. After all, Zhu Onbong was captured alive by him. This was a great humiliation to the Ancestral Hall. Moreover, his father was a powerful being. After all, once a powerful being was serious, if he really killed his way into the Divine Mountain Range, Su Yan wasn't sure if the Divine Mountain Range could withstand the attack of a powerful being. After all, the Divine Mountain Range was in an open state. However, the God-killing formation had gradually weakened over time. Perhaps in the eyes of a powerful being, the value of the Divine Mountain Range wasn't worth them using force. However, if the Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor was angered, the chances of the Divine Mountain Range being opened were very high. I have to make all the preparations. Su Yan opened Qi Gao's spatial treasure and couldn't help but feel disappointed. Since Qi Gao had the yin-yang compass and even a substitute puppet, he could also set up such a powerful killing formation. Su Yan really thought that Qi Gao had a heaven-defying treasure, but the result was disappointing. This old thing's backup plan is quite strong. Su Yan took out one ancient array disc after another. Each of the ancient array discs had been refined by Qi Gao with blood, sweat, and tears. These were not just a few simple ancient array discs, but a total of 72 ancient array discs. Su Yan was shocked and couldn't help but sigh. A dead camel is still bigger than a horse. Qi Gao is an old monster who has lived for 7,000 to 8,000 years. His lifespan is quite heaven-defying, and his own accumulation is also extraordinary. After all, he is still a master of strange arts. There were 72 sets of ancient array discs, and each of them was oddly shaped. However, they were also very lifelike. Moreover, they were emitting a ferocious light, as if they were crouching, strange beasts. This set of ancient formation discs could be combined to form a super powerful killing formation. When Qi Gao and the Ancestral Hall cooperated, they must have had a backup plan. They were prepared to set up a killing formation at a critical moment to snatch away Su Yan's treasures. He had already lived for 7,000 to 8,000 years, so one could imagine how much he longed to continue living. Even if he had to offend the ancestral hall, he didn't care. If he could really cultivate to the 7th grade, then all the peak forces would treat him as a VIP. Other than these things, Qi Gao was really poor. With this set of killing tools, I can even withstand a wave of attacks. Su Yin sucked in a deep breath. Then, he pulled Zhu Onbong out and searched his body. This made Zhu Onbong so angry that he was about to go crazy. Not only did Su Yin occupy his spatial palace, he even wanted to snatch his treasures. Su Yin took out all of Zhu Onbong's storage treasures. This gave Zhu Onbong a headache. He roared, "Su Yin, you won't have a good ending. If you have the guts, then kill me right now. What kind of man are you to humiliate me like this? It seems like there are quite a lot of valuable items in your spatial treasure." Su Yin laughed heartily. He directly sealed Zhu Onbong and opened Zhu Onbong's spatial treasure. There weren't many cultivation resources in his spatial treasure, but every single one of them was a treasure among treasures. Those of lower quality were all thrown into the spatial palace's treasury, and Su Yin had already taken them away. Those that Zhu Onbong kept close to his body were all extraordinary treasures. Walala! A pile of treasures rolled to the ground, each of them brimming with spiritual energy. They shone brilliantly, illuminating the entire hall. These treasures were all extraordinary. Su Yin even found a black stone that was chanting scriptures on its own. The sound of the Tao was deafening, as if a great bell was ringing. Su Yin was shocked. He carefully examined the black stone. The stone was interwoven with natural patterns of the great Tao. This stone seemed to be a piece of natural stone. It looked extraordinary and divine. Su Yin was shocked. He felt that this thing was extraordinary. This is... Su Yin sat cross-legged on the black stone. His body shone uncontrollably because this black stone was too special. This was a great Tao stone. Su Yin sat cross-legged on the great Tao stone. He seemed to have become one with the universe and the sky. He began to comprehend the changes in the world. Good heavens, this is a Tao comprehension stone. Su Yin was shocked. His eyes widened. This was a priceless treasure. The Tao comprehension bead couldn't compare to the Tao comprehension stone at all. This Tao comprehension stone was a natural stone that needed millions of years to be nurtured. Bastard! Even though Zhu Onbong was sealed by Su Yin, he still had consciousness. He saw Su Yin pouring out all of his treasures and even counting them one by one. Now he was still sitting cross-legged on the Tao comprehension stone. Zhu Onbong's mood was obvious. This meant that Su Yin had taken away his wife before they could even consummate their marriage. In fact, the Tao comprehension stone that Su Yin was sitting on now was something that only 3 existed in the entire ancestral palace. This Tao comprehension stone was personally delivered to him by the ancestral palace when he was trying to break through to the great Tao realm. If he wanted to use this item, he had to get the approval of the divine king. There were only 3 Tao comprehension stones in the ancestral palace, but now Su Yin had taken one away. Ha ha ha! Su Yin laughed loudly. He was wild with joy. The supreme cultivation resource of the great Tao realm, the Tao comprehension stone. Even among the various great races in the vast universe, there were only a handful who could take out a Tao comprehension stone. It was too difficult for this item to be born. Moreover, it needed an extremely strong world environment. The natural great Tao interweaved within it, forming a miniature great Tao universe. The effect of this item wasn't targeted at a single person, but at a group of races. To a group of races, the Tao comprehension stone was of utmost importance. It was a resource that ensured the luck of the clan. It couldn't be passed on to outsiders. Once it was lost, it would be a great loss to the clan. This was a supreme resource. Now that Su Yin had obtained it, he was beside himself with joy. He had already tested the effects of this item. His chances of attaining the great Tao were extremely high. It could increase his chances of attaining the great Tao by 20 to 30%. This was already very impressive. Of course, the Tao comprehension stone also had a flaw. It was that it was too small. It could only be used by one person at a time. Seeing Su Yin happily put away the Tao comprehension stone, Zhu Onbong appeared very calm. There were things that were even more precious than the Tao comprehension stone. He felt that Su Yin shouldn't have discovered them. After all, those things required special methods to open up the true inheritance. There is no need to mention the various great Tao scriptures that Su Yin possessed. Most of them were written by the Divine King, and they were related to the celestial body. In fact, Su Yin even discovered that some of the scriptures were especially astonishing. They were densely covered with Tao marks that formed the celestial world. Su Yin was moved. This would be of great help to him. He could use this opportunity to verify it. Although he didn't cultivate the celestial body, the contents of the scriptures would still be of great help to his cultivation. Not bad, not bad, not bad at all. Su Yin clicked his tongue in amazement. Zuanbong was indeed Zuanbong. He was equivalent to a super-rich second generation. He was one of the top nobles in the universe. The treasures in his private storehouse were far beyond Su Yan's expectations. Incredible, this batch of divine materials is too extraordinary. They are qualified to be used to refine divine artifacts. In fact, Su Yin was even astonished to discover a batch of divine materials. They were suffused with chaotic light and had an extremely ancient aura. He was astonished after thinking for a while. These were definitely all kinds of chaotic, precious materials dug out from the chaotic ruins. There were many types of divine ores. Ordinary, high-grade, and top-notch. Ores suffused with chaotic aura were definitely top-notch divine ores. They could also be called chaotic precious materials. These materials were qualified to be used to refine the Divine King's weapons. One had to admit that their value was astonishing. It was said that the Ancestral Hall and other peak races also had a certain territory in the chaotic ruins. That was their largest battlefield and resource area. Every territory or resource area represented endless wealth. After all, these were resources that great figures needed. The value was too high, let alone controlling a large territory. Even if they could conquer a mining area, it would still be an incredible amount of wealth. They could dig out all kinds of rare, chaotic, precious materials and use them to refine divine artifacts. This Zuanbong isn't a weapon refiner or an alchemist. What is he doing with so many precious, chaotic, precious materials? Su Yin couldn't estimate the value, but it was definitely much higher than chaotic divine artifacts. Its value is difficult to estimate. Of course, it couldn't be measured by the Divine King's weapons. There are almost no auction houses that would auction off the Divine King's weapons. Chaotic precious materials could also be used to refine pills. Those were divine pills, rare pills that only gods could refine. Su Yin was shocked. He put away all kinds of treasure materials and discovered many ancient herbs. Many of them were shrouded in primal chaos chi. These were also ancient herbs dug out from the primal chaos ruins. He had never heard of them. There's no way Zuanbong has been to the chaotic ruins. Where did he get these? Su Yin shook his head. He knew that Zuanbong had no use for these treasures. But why did he collect them? Although Zuanbong was a super-rich second generation, it didn't make sense for the Ancestral Hall to reward him with these things. Clang! At this moment, Su Yin took out a black sword embryo. He had a smile on his face. This was a great killing weapon. It was Zuanbong's primordial spirit treasure. Su Yin used his primordial spirit to control the black sword embryo. He found that its destructive power was terrifying. Once it struck his primordial spirit, it would shatter his primordial spirit. Su Yin put it away with great satisfaction. He checked the various items. There were many strange materials that he had never seen before. Su Yin couldn't stop laughing. He found the key thing, and that was Great Tao Evolution Fluid. Su Yin found a total of 5 jars of Great Tao Evolution Fluid. This made him burst with joy. He needed this resource too much right now. When Su Yin opened one of the jars, it was as if 2 golden suns had soared up from within. A primordial aura that overflowed into the heavens surged out. It was divine to the extreme, and it even spewed out chaotic Tao sounds that pierced through Su Yan's ears. Su Yin moved like lightning and sealed the jar. Ecstasy emerged in his heart. He commented, as expected of a super-rich second generation. Zuanbong felt his vision darken. He was about to faint. He knew very well what those were. They were 2 drops of primordial precious fluid. Zuonbong used 1 drop when he broke through. He planned to use the other 2 drops later. But now, they were snatched away by Su Yin. 2 drops of primordial precious fluid. Even for the Ancestral Hall, it was a huge share in this universe era. It was because this thing was too rare and precious. It was an immortal treasure for comprehending the Tao. It was only used by the disciples with the greatest talent. Back then, Su Yin had eaten it before. It increased the potential of his constitution. He felt that it was a waste. The primordial precious fluid was born from primordial chaos. Even gods yearned for it. What is this? Su Yin frowned. He looked at a dark red beast skin. The beast skin had an ancient aura. It was like a powerful treasure. Su Yin could feel that this beast skin was very sturdy. Zuonbong's heart tightened. He could lose anything, but the inheritance inside couldn't be lost. Something is strange. Chapter 571. What's this? Su Yin picked up the beast's skin and examined it carefully. Zuonbong's entire body tensed up. Su Yin noticed the change in Zuonbong's expression. He sneered inwardly. This thing must be extremely valuable, or else Zuonbong wouldn't be so nervous. Something that can make him so nervous means that it's even more valuable than the origin elixir. Could it be some kind of inheritance or secret technique? If it's a treasure, he would have used it long ago. Su Yin had no choice but to take it seriously. The dark red bee skin gave him the peculiar feeling. He couldn't tell what was so special about it, but Su Yin was still attracted to it. What in the world is this? Su Yin picked up the bee skin and noticed that it was imbued with ancient divine power. He guessed that it was the skin of some kind of divine beast. It looked like a treasure made of beast skin. Speak. What's recorded in it? Su Yin looked at Zuonbong. His sudden words made Zuonbong's heart tremble. He roared, Su Yin, kill me if you dare. What's the point of humiliating me now? My father will come for you sooner or later, and you know the consequences. I advise you to think about your future. Otherwise, no one will even dare to collect your corpse. You're not willing to talk, yet you're still trying to change the topic. Su Yan's eyes narrowed. He sneered. Zuonbong, let me guess what's inside this beast skin. It's just an ordinary treasure. What else could it be? What else do you want from me? Zuonbong refused to admit his mistake. It can't be an ordinary treasure. It's extremely special. Su Yin examined the beast's skin carefully. He noticed that there was some kind of resonance between him and the beast's skin. He suddenly said, What's recorded here is the formula for the little divine king pill. Am I right? What did you say? Zuonbong's expression changed drastically. He pointed a finger at Su Yin. His heart was filled with terror. How did Su Yin know about the little divine king pill? Also, why was he so certain that the formula of the little divine king pill was hidden in the dark red animal skin? Zuonbong found this hard to believe. The little divine king pill was a secret of the Ancestral Hall, one of their most valuable resources. There was no way news of its existence would leak out. There were very few experts who knew about the existence of the little divine king pill, let alone cultivators who knew about its formula. Even among the core members of the Ancestral Hall, there were very few who knew about it. But how could Su Yin know about the existence of the little divine king pill? This left him panicking. The Ancestral Hall's greatest resource was a rare pill recipe. If it fell into the hands of the Burial Region clan, the consequences would be too horrible to contemplate. Don't ask me how I know. Su Yan's heart rippled with joy. He smiled and said, Not to mention the little divine king pill, I even know the formula for the Tao body pill like the back of my hand. This is impossible. Zuonbong lost control. His eyes turned red. How could the Ancestral Hall's sworn enemy, the Burial Region clan, know about the little divine king pill and the Tao body pill? Zuonbong couldn't believe it. How could they know? Even many of the Ancestral Hall's descendants didn't know about it. Even some of the gods didn't know. How did Su Yin know? What's impossible about it? You want me to recite it to you? Su Yin snorted coldly. He recited the Tao body pill's formula. At the same time, he said, I've also used the Tao body pill. I'm very lucky to have survived. Bastard. Who told you? Who? Zhu Onbong's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets as he roared furiously. The leaking of the two great pill recipes was a heavy blow to the ancestral hall. If Su Yin leaked the pill recipes, the consequences would be dire. Ha ha! Your ancestral hall isn't a monolithic entity, Su Yin said disdainfully. I naturally have my sources of information. You're already a dead man, so what's the harm in telling you? Traitor, how could there be people in our ancestral hall? Zhu Onbong's expression changed. He said angrily, they were already subdued by our ancestral hall. They can't be traitors. You're trying to frame me. The matter of the Tao body pill had caused Zhu Onbong to lose control. He knew very well what the leaking of these two resources meant. He didn't think that it was Zhu Onbong who leaked the inheritance. What's the point of saying all this? Su Yin said coldly. It's just a problem with your own people. It's a pity that you only obtained the Tao body pill. However, I really didn't expect that one day I would obtain the little divine king pill. This is the most important resource. It could be considered a pinnacle resource. Zhu Onbong fell silent. He knew how much potential Su Yin had. If he could really survive the little divine king pill, his future potential would truly be limitless. Since I'm already a dead man, tell me who the traitor is. Zhu Onbong was furious. He couldn't figure out who the traitor was. There are too few people who had the qualifications to come into contact with the Tao body pill. This was also a simplified version of the little divine king pill that the ancestral hall had spent countless years developing. It was a top-secret pill. If you want to know, give me information in exchange. Su Yin shouted, how many experts did your ancestral hall subdue back then? Tell me, I'd like to hear it. Do I even need to tell you? Didn't your clan's elders tell you? Long ago, your Burial Realm clan was indeed terrifying. Your might shook the universe, and you had many powerful clans supporting you. Unfortunately, your clan declined, and some of the powerful clans submitted to my clan. Those who submit to me prosper, and those who resist me perish. How simple is this logic? Can't they understand it? Zhu Onbong sneered. But you're not strong enough now. What can you do even if I tell you? Your Burial Realm clan is in hiding right now, and you don't have much luck left. Actually, I'm quite curious about you. Zhu Onbong really wanted to know Su Yan's true identity. This was someone who the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor had been thinking about for countless years. Su Yan fell silent. The Cosmos Business Alliance was also a secret alliance of the Burial Realm clan. Back then, some of the Burial Realm clan's subordinate clans had submitted to the ancestral hall. This wasn't a top secret, but these clans rarely appeared in the world because they were afraid that the Burial Realm clan still had a supreme expert alive. Many years had passed, and this matter wasn't much. After all, era after era of the universe had passed, and those rebellious subordinate clans weren't much anymore. However, the ancestral hall still attached great importance to these clans. Some of their hidden disciples were worth nurturing. The ancestral hall was happy to see these subordinate clans hunting down the Burial Realm clan. This was also why Zhu Onbong was the first to suspect that there was a problem with the Tao body pill. But he felt that this shouldn't be the case. After all, countless years had passed. If they wanted to give themselves away, they would have already done so. Why wait until now? We can talk. I swear I'll tell you who he is. Su Yin smiled faintly. Answer me. What has your ancestral hall been searching for in the periphery of the universe for countless years? You even know about this. Zhu Onbong felt a headache coming on. Just how deep was this traitor hiding? Although this plan had been carried out for an extremely long time, the number of ancestral hall experts who knew about it was too few. After all, once this matter was leaked out, the Burial Realm clan would definitely interfere. The universe was so vast and boundless. It was impossible for the ancestral hall to spread their influence throughout the universe. I've known about it for a long time. In fact, one of your ancestral hall's experts died along the way, and a group of soldiers also fell with him. Su Yan's reply caused Zhu Onbong's heart to explode with shock. His hair stood on end. This traitor had hidden himself far too deeply. He was able to expose just about anything, and the ancestral hall was completely oblivious to it. Didn't that mean that every move of the ancestral hall was under their eyes. This was too dangerous and serious. He had to spread the news and alert the clan. Zhu Bong even suspected that this wasn't done by a single person. It was very likely that a group of experts with important positions in the Ancestral Hall knew about these secrets. In fact, the Ancestral Hall's upper echelons even suspected that the collapse of the Purple Sun Taoist rite was due to internal problems. Hee. Zhu Bong suddenly sneered. You have quite a bit of information, but some of it isn't accurate. It seems like your people don't have a high status in our Ancestral Hall. That's impossible, Su Yin retorted. My clan can now monitor your Ancestral Hall's every move. Su Yin, you're wrong. Back then, a great figure who crossed through our clan's mother formation did encounter an accident, but he didn't die. Zhu Bong didn't feel that there was anything wrong with saying this. This information wasn't that important. In fact, the Ancestral Hall's experts had already begun to search for the remnant soul of that great figure by following the Mother Formation's final reaction. Su Yin looked calm on the surface, but his heart was in a perilous situation. This is bad. Something big is about to happen. Su Yin clenched his fists tightly. If he didn't die, then he might know about the heavenly coffin and even the coordinates of Earth. This matter was too dangerous. It was like a ticking time bomb. If this person came back alive, the progenitor would be completely exposed. This matter was extremely serious and troublesome. Su Yan's back was drenched in cold sweat. He had to go back and think of a way to relocate Earth. Why aren't you saying anything? It seems like I'm right. Zhu Bong sneered. I don't think you know what they're looking for either. There are some things that you can't possibly know. There are some secrets that only a limited number of people in the Ancestral Hall know. As for what my clan is looking for, I don't know either. Do you think I don't know that your Ancestral Hall is looking for the heavenly coffin? Su Yin replied sarcastically. You don't know what it is either, do you? Zhu Bong's expression flickered. He felt that Su Yin knew too much. He was like a core member of the Ancestral Hall, knowing many top secrets. According to what he knew, that thing was extremely important and mysterious. Finding it was the Ancestral Hall's most important mission. On the contrary, exterminating the Burial Realm's race was secondary. Tell me, what does your Ancestral Hall want from me? Su Yin said with a smile. This is the last piece of information. If you answer me, I can tell you. Zhu Bong frowned. After thinking for a long time, he finally replied, I don't know the details because in the entire Ancestral Hall, only my father knows. Back then, my father went to the Primal Chaos ruins and stayed there for more than a year. When he came back, he issued a mission. You're saying that the Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor dragged his heavily injured body to the Primal Chaos ruins to meet your Ancestral Hall's Hallmaster? Su Yan's expression was grave. He didn't even care about his injuries. How big of a matter was this? I don't know. Whether my Ancestral Hall has a Hallmaster or not, only my father knows. Zhu Bong's reply left Su Yin puzzled. The Ancestral Hall was a little strange, but what they wanted was related to the Burial Realm's race. Zhu Bong was also curious. What was Su Yan's background? Why was his father thinking about him for so long? He wasn't even sure if this person was Su Yin or not. The entire Ancestral Hall wasn't sure. I've said everything I can. Can you tell me who it is now? Zhu Bong roared. He wanted to know who the traitor was. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to die in peace. If even the Tao body pills formula could be leaked, the traitor had to be the Ancestral Hall's ruler. Su Yin even knew about the back progenitor. This matter was huge. I think you still don't want to know. Otherwise, Su Yin frowned. He wanted to say something, but hesitated. If Zhu Bong knew, he would go crazy. Just say it. I can bear it. Zhu Bong roared. Keep your promise. Zhu Yue. Chapter 572. The entire hall fell silent. Su Yan's words caused Zhu Bong's entire body to tremble. A wisp of anger surged up to his head. Zhu Bong, who was already severely injured, was now angered to the point that his physical injuries worsened. He felt like he was about to collapse. He was furious. You can't die. Su Yin hurriedly walked up. He quickly used a secret technique to gather a portion of heaven and earth essence into Zhu Bong's body. Zhu Bong couldn't die yet. If he died, the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor might come immediately. You're tricking me, Zuonbong roared. He was furious. His entire body trembled, and he coughed up blood. He wanted nothing more than to swallow Su Yin alive. Anger is harmful to the body. Calm down. Su Yin frowned. I already said that you couldn't take it, but you still wanted me to say it. Now that you know how angry you are, you can't blame me. You're not telling the truth. Who is it? Zuonbong didn't believe that it was Zhu Yu'er. Although Zhu Yu'er knew the body Dao Pill's formula, she didn't know that His Majesty Daozu was searching for the back progenitor in the vast universe's uninhabited region. This was a top secret in the Ancestral Hall. Very few experts knew about it. Although Zhu Yongwen knew about it, he wouldn't tell Zhu Yu'er about it. So it's because of this. Su Yin scratched his head. I'm not lying. It's really Zhu Yu'er. I can swear. Bullshit. Zuonbong cursed. He was furious. I'm already a dead man. What's the point of tricking me? What can you do even if you say it? I can't pass this information back to the clan. It's really Zhu Yu'er. Su Yin replied again. This time, he walked forward and said, I have no reason to lie to you. As for how I knew that your ancestral hall was searching for the heavenly coffin, it wasn't part of the transaction just now. Moreover, I've already killed that traitor. You should be thanking me now. Pooh! Zuonbong's body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of old blood. He was tricked miserably. How could he be so dishonest? I understand. Zuonbong roared with laughter. There's no traitor in our ancestral hall. It's you. Where did you come from? Am I right? Su Yin didn't expect Zuonbong to be able to guess it. He laughed angrily. Hi, it must be you. You're all finished. My clan must have found our destination. Just you wait. The remnant soul of one of my clan's great figures hasn't been extinguished yet. He'll definitely return in 3 to 5 years. At that time, your clan will be completely destroyed. This was indeed the problem that Su Yin was most concerned about. The consequences were quite serious, and he felt a sense of urgency in his heart. He had to return to Earth as soon as possible. Am I right? Zuonbong was like a detective. He wanted to see Su Yin roar like a madman, but in the end, he didn't see any other expression on Su Yin's face. This left Zuonbong feeling stifled, and he couldn't vent his frustrations. Zuonbong, why don't we work together? Su Yin laughed. Look at your ancestral hall's ancient ancestor. He's always so busy dealing with our ancestral hall. He doesn't have the slightest bit of freedom. He has to drag his heavily injured body to report to us. Why do I feel like your ancestral hall's highest authority is like a eunuch? He's always busy working for others, serving them like a slave. Why don't we work together and slaughter our way into the ancestral hall? We'll find a mastermind and destroy their scheme. Wouldn't that be more glorious? When the time comes, the two of us brothers will shake the universe. Wouldn't that be even better? Su Yin's words enraged Zuonbong. He roared, Su Yin, why don't you just die? He finally understood. The waters of the ancestral hall were too deep. Even with Zuonbong's status, he didn't know the full picture of the ancestral hall. This was an extremely powerful organization. Perhaps its core area was in the primal chaos ruins. He felt that most of the peak races and important figures were gathered in the primal chaos ruins. That was a paradise for experts. Although it was full of death and misfortune, it hid all kinds of shocking good fortune. Let's take a look at the little divine king pill. Su Yin took a deep breath and took out the dark red beast skin diagram. It wasn't difficult to decipher this item. Only a cultivator who had used the Dao body pill could read the contents inside. The defensive mechanism was very special. Even if someone obtained it, they wouldn't be able to read the contents inside. Buzz. Finally, Su Yin opened the dark red beast skin diagram. There were all kinds of ancient characters inscribed on the beast skin diagram. This was the little divine king pill's pill recipe. It was like an ancient scripture in front of Su Yin's eyes. The more Su Yin looked at it, the more shocked he became. First of all, the main ingredient of the little divine king pill needed divine herbs. Su Yin was tongue-tied. He didn't want the entire plant, only the divine herb's essence. However, this wasn't something that could be bought with money. Even if it was sold, the price would be enough to make one despair. Putting aside the main ingredient, the rest of the medicinal ingredients were also of the utmost importance. Suyin had never heard of most of them. This caused him to be extremely shocked. He could not estimate the price of these resources. It was definitely a price that was enough to cause one to despair. Just the divine herb's essence alone was enough to make Su Yin bankrupt. At the same time, Su Yin noticed that Zhu Onbong had already started collecting all kinds of secret medicines. His spatial treasure was filled with all kinds of things, most of which were the medicinal ingredients needed for the little divine king pill recipe. However, Zhu Onbong had only managed to gather half of them. The remaining half was also an astronomical price. Even if I use this pill recipe now, I won't be able to withstand the impact of the medicinal power. Su Yin smiled bitterly. Let's talk about it in the future. Su Yin put away the pill recipe solemnly. This was one of the strongest resources in the ancestral hall. He would definitely choose to use it. Then he sat down cross-legged. Next, Su Yin prepared to increase his strength. 5 jars of great Tao evolution fluid were taken out one after another. Su Yin directly swallowed this batch of evolution fluid. He needed this batch of resources too much at the moment. This item would be extremely helpful to him. 1. Su Yan's treasured body shone. An ancient chanting sound was transmitted from his body, revealing the mysterious flow of the beginning of all things. Su Yan's body was like a small universe. It was majestic and exceptional, but it lacked the corresponding energy substance. The energy substance could be replenished in advance with the Great Tao evolution fluid. The next step would be for Su Yin to attain his Tao and cross over. However, he could use the Great Tao evolution fluid to replenish it in advance. It was enough to shorten the gap between the realms. The prerequisite was that there was enough Great Tao evolution fluid. He refined it crazily, one jar after another. His physical body shone with divine light. His treasured body had recovered to the extreme. He was like a hibernating supreme being. Although that kind of power was still a little vague, Su Yin had already grasped the door. What he regretted was that he couldn't devour Su Yan's battle constitution's origin. He still didn't know enough about the secrets of his own constitution. He still needed to conduct many experiments to verify them. After using the Great Tao evolution fluid this time, Su Yan's transformation was a little shocking. His treasure body could be said to be the embryonic form of a universe. It was suffused with the mysterious fluctuations of the beginning of all things. However, under the nourishment of the Great Tao evolution fluid, Su Yan's treasured body emitted endless divine light. His body could be said to be a universe that could nurture all things and give birth to all things. How can this be? Zhu Onbong could clearly sense the changes in Su Yan's body. He noticed that the energy in Su Yan's body was moving at a terrifying speed. It was like a supreme being standing at the bottom of an abyss, pushing through layer after layer. One day, he would become a supreme being of the heavens. He hasn't proven his Tao yet. He hasn't finished condensing the Great Tao body with the Great Tao evolution fluid. Zhu Onbong's scalp went numb. He couldn't believe it and felt a huge sense of defeat in his heart. If this matter was spread out, it would definitely create an incomparably terrifying storm. Su Yin, who had the potential to become a heavenly supreme, was the rising star of the Burial Realm clan. The Almighty of the Ancestral Hall would definitely be enraged and kill him in the cradle. The potential threat of such an existence was too great. They had to be on guard. Once Su Yin crossed into the realm of gods in the future, perhaps even the Divine King wouldn't be able to easily kill Su Yin. Now that Zhu Onbong was captured alive, the storm it caused was already spectacular enough. The entire Divine Mountain Range was in an uproar. The son of a supreme being was captured alive, and Su Yin was even selling him as a slave for 150 bottles of Great Tao evolution fluid. This family is too crazy. They're even selling the son of a supreme being, saying that if the Ancestral Hall doesn't give them the Great Tao evolution fluid, they might be killed in public in a few days. Even Inxian is being sold. The pitiful Inxian is only worth half of Zhu Onbong's price. You can't say that. Currently, the three young giants are targeting Su Yan. Su Yan is using Zhu Onbong and Yin Xian as meat shields. Now, the two of them are Su Yan's protection. That's right. The Sun Dome and the other two are targeting Su Yan. No matter how strong Su Yan is, he can't withstand the upcoming storm. The entire world was in an uproar. Countless eyes turned to the ancestral hall's resource land. The huge resource land was completely surrounded. A large number of experts were gathered here. The ancestral hall and dark underworld experts were about to lose control and kill their way into Su Yan's place of seclusion. Su Yan must be killed. I believe the family won't use money to ransom him. Some old experts were incomparably furious. They felt that this was a great humiliation. The representative of their clan was captured alive, and Su Yan was even selling him in public, asking them to use money to ransom him. This was a great humiliation. They were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood. At the same time, there were experts from Zhu Onbong and Yin Xian's lineage who expressed that they could do it privately if they wanted to use money to ransom him. In short, this matter was too important. No one dared to make a conclusion. As for the experts gathered outside the Divine Mountain Range, they were all stunned by the news that came out. Zhu Wenxiong was completely stunned. He was waiting for the ancestral hall's little ancestor to display his might and shake the Divine Mountain Range. But now, Zhu Onbong was captured alive by Su Yan. This matter was too big. The ancient ancestor's son was captured alive. Zhu Wenxiong didn't dare to issue a battle order. In short, with each passing day, the storm became more and more shocking. Many Starfield's races were shaken. The representatives of two peak races were captured alive by the same person, and he was even asking for a ransom. Su Yan, the rising star of the Burial Realm race, is truly extraordinary. He's going to pierce through the heavens, even daring to provoke a powerful expert. Su Yan's name was going to spread throughout the world, causing an uproar among the various races. However, one thing was certain. A supreme being of the same generation had risen up, slaughtering his way into the world. Even a supreme being was defeated by him. His future growth was enormous. Boom! The incomparably lively bipolar star was filled with a terrifying aura. The entire outer space began to tremble. This was a supreme might pervading the air. It was the aura of a divine king. It was as if a great existence had crossed over from the end of the universe and was overlooking the entire bipolar star. His eyes reflected the fury of the heavens. Of course, it wasn't just one. More and more figures crossing over to bipolar star. Chapter 573. No one was surprised that the divine king had come. Both Yin Xian and Zhu Onbong had been captured alive by Su Yan. This had already reached a level where the entire world was shocked. It also represented the rise of a supreme being of the same generation. Even Su Yan's identity made this matter even more intense. For the Ancestral Hall and the Dark Underworld race, they had been spreading the news everywhere that the Burial Region race was the loser and would be exterminated sooner or later. It had almost reached the final juncture. But now, a resounding slap had been delivered. The Burial Region race, which had no foundation at all, had a rising star walk out. He had actually captured the representatives of two great clans alive. One had to admit that this matter was too big. It concerned the reputation of the two great clans. They would not allow this matter to continue deteriorating. They would definitely use tyrannical methods to suppress this matter. This time, a total of 3 divine kings had come. Even from a great distance away, the experts present could feel the divine king's anger. They had come with peerless killing intent. Even the dark underworld races Yin Yuanshi and Yin Yuankue had made a comeback. Since they had made a comeback the second time, they would definitely not return empty-handed like last time. It seems like they are really going to attack the Divine Mountain Range. Su Yan was able to force the 2 great clans to attack the Divine Mountain Range. He can be considered a ruthless person. His name is destined to go down in history. The great figures of the various clans all turned pale. First of all, The two great clans could not easily withdraw. If they really did, then their prestige would be swept to the ground. Now that they had made a comeback, it was definitely to attack the Divine Mountain Range. What was even more surprising was that the person from the Ancestral Hall was Zhu Yongbua. This was an extremely old expert who had already lived through the ages. He was like an old lion that released heaven-reaching killing intent. Who didn't know that Dao Zuyu had been captured alive by Su Yan? A peerless beauty had fallen into his hands. No one knew what had happened, but Zuyu had already fallen. Now that Zhu Yongbua had come, the situation would become even more dangerous. Some people suspected that they had all brought Almighty Saint weapons with them. They should be able to open up the divine, spiritual mountain range. Zhu Wenxiong stepped forward and bowed. He didn't even dare to breathe too loudly. Zhu Yu had died. Zhu Onbong had been suppressed, and the Ancestral Hall had slaughtered their way into the divine, spiritual mountain range. Two of his clansmen with peerless potential had died one after another. Even the divine king couldn't bear such humiliation. Boom! Flames of fury pervaded the area. The three great divine kings had made their stance clear. They wanted to kill Su Yin and couldn't compromise with him. It was impossible for them to hand over the great Tao evolution liquid to save their lives. First of all, even if they survived, their fighting spirit would be greatly damaged. Moreover, after suffering such a setback, their future achievements would be limited. In short, as long as this matter was not resolved, the blow to their prestige would be even greater. The whole world would be talking about how the rising stars of their families were inferior to the Burial Realm clan. What? You want to kill him? Zhu Wenxiong was shocked. Zhu Onbong was the ancient ancestor's son. He even suspected that Zhu Yongbua was trying to exact revenge. No matter what, he had to inform the ancient ancestor. The expressions of the Ancestral Hall's great figures fluctuated. Killing Su Yin without any regard for the consequences was the same as giving up on Zhu Onbong. The Tao Comprehension Stone and the Little Divine King's Pill Recipe. One of Zhu Yongbua's subordinates walked out and informed them, "These two treasures cannot be lost. Su Yin must be captured alive and brought away with him. Everything else can wait." Zhu Wenxiong and the others felt a headache coming on. The Tao Comprehension Stone was one thing, but the Little Divine King's Pill Recipe was different. Once it was leaked, the Ancestral Hall would suffer a great blow. The Little Divine King's Pill Recipe was the Ancestral Hall's pride and joy. It was a method that would ensure the younger generation's unrivaled strength. The consequences of leaking it were too great. This was also the Divine King's will. Zhu Yongbua did not allow the inheritance to be leaked, and the Tao Comprehension Stone was also extremely precious. Now that it had fallen into Su Yan's hands, there were only 3 of them in the entire Ancestral Hall. Losing even one would be a great loss. After all, the Tao Comprehension Stone could serve the Ancestral Hall for countless years. In fact, the reason for this was that neither Zhu Onbong nor Yin Xian were Starfield Supremes. The two great clans would not really swallow the humiliation of making a deal with Su Yin just because of the two of them. If Su Yin was a great figure, there might be some leeway. However, lowering their heads to a rising star was simply impossible. For a moment, the atmosphere here became extremely stifling. The two great clans directly issued a battle order. Zhu Yongbua had already reached an agreement with the Dark Underworld race. They wanted Su Yin alive. In short, the two great clans would pay a great price to capture Su Yin alive. Only then would they be able to regain their lost face. It seems like the dust is about to settle. There were already some powerful clan leaders who understood the Divine King's will. If they could not capture Su Yin, then the Divine King would make his move. Perhaps the time for the Divine Mountain Range to be opened had already arrived. In short, the two great clans would not allow Su Yin to continue living. The great battle is about to begin. Someone lost control and shouted, "The two great clans are about to start a war. Hurry up and go take a look. I wonder if Madman Su can break out of this situation." Some cultivators who believed that Su Yin could rise up despaired. Break out of this situation? The 3 young giants were eyeing him covetously. together with the wills of the two great clans, who could break out of this situation. This was a path of certain death. When they really began to move and eliminate Su Yin at all costs, that would be truly terrifying. Flames of fury surged within the vast expanse of 100,000 li. This was the flame of fury that belonged to the great clans burning. Boom! Boundless murderous intent engulfed the sky and scattered all the clouds. The heavens were dyed a bloody color, and it could be said that the gates of hell had opened. Terrifying divine radiance overflowed into the sky and even combined together to form a raging sea of energy that pierced through 100,000 li. Ha! They're finally going all out. It should have been like this a long time ago. A little loser, a rising star, he's nothing. A radical issued a cold voice. We should have suppressed him with the attitude of a great clan and forced him to kneel on the ground while trembling and repenting for his sins. How can a trash like him overturn the heavens? Unfortunately, the descendant of a little loser can't see our clan's glory and prosperity. It's quite a pity that he's dead now. Some people from the ancestral hall spoke. They felt that once their most powerful expert, Zhu Tian, arrived at the Divine Mountain Range, not to mention Su Yin, even Sun Dome's group would have to step aside. Just burn more paper offerings for him. The cultivators from the two great clans sneered. So what if his talents were great? They could still strangle him in the cradle. The onlookers were all trembling with fear. They were truly going all out. Tens of thousands of elite soldiers had awakened and brought out their murderous swords. They could shake one's soul, and the rivers and mountains within 100,000 li were all shaken. Who could escape this kind of murderous intent? Moreover, they were all targeting one person and forming a huge encirclement. They charged towards the spatial palace. I hope you can survive. Shui Guan towered in the distance with his hands behind his back. He looked down at the killing ground and coldly said, "Not being able to personally remove your head will be one of my life's greatest regrets." Those in the surroundings who heard Shui Guan's words were all shocked inwardly. Shui Guan's confidence was too great. Su Yin was now able to strike down a supreme being of the same generation with the supreme physique, but Shui Guan was still not afraid. He wanted to fight Su Yin and personally remove his head. However, Shui Guan couldn't interfere in this battle, or else the Divine King would be dissatisfied. After all, they had suffered too great a loss. Could they let the world know afterwards that an expert from another race had helped to suppress Su Yin? Regardless of whether it was Sun Dome, King Flash, or Shui Guan, their foundations were unfathomable. No one knew just how powerful the three of them were. This included the celestial battle physique that had already been suppressed. They felt that Zhu Anbong was a tragedy. He had truly fallen without a single glorious battle. He could be considered the most tragic son of a supreme being in this era of the universe. Sun Dome and King Flash also towered in the distance. They didn't act rashly. They had already received news that the Divine King of the two tribes had arrived and was personally supervising the battle. It was indeed inappropriate for them to interfere now. They really hoped that Su Yin could emerge victorious. That way, they wouldn't have to go through so much trouble to obtain the fortune substance. Kill. Under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, the killing ground was completely ignited. This was an attack from all directions. Tens of thousands of elite soldiers erupted with their greatest potential. The divine light they emitted merged together and forcibly traversed 100,000 li. It was like the birth of a vast battlefield. The commotion was too great, but it was only directed at one person. They charged, and the energy field that filled the air caused countless mountains to sink. It was a charge that could destroy everything. The charging soldiers wanted to charge over in a spurt of energy and tear Su Yin to pieces. Kill. Capture Su Yin alive. Kill. Countless soldiers and horses charged toward their destination. All of them erupted with power. This batch of elite soldiers and valiant generals had astonishing battle prowess. Even if there was a killing ground here, it was difficult to trap them. Too spectacular. The spectating cultivators were dumbfounded. The soldiers of the two tribes were charging like crazy. They were already close to their destination. Wait a moment. Just as they were about to tear apart the great mountain, experts from the ancestral palace and the dark underworld race stood out. They had some prestige in their races and suppressed the anger of the soldiers and horses. Suyin, come out immediately for a chat. A group of old experts said coldly. This might very well be your last chance to speak. I'll give you a chance now. Come out for a chat. Hand over the great Tao evolution liquid. I'll be responsible for releasing him. A voice rang out, causing the tens of thousands of elite soldiers to fly into a rage. This was the first time they had encountered a robbery. Suyin, I'll give you a piece of advice. Hand him over. An expert from the ancestral palace sneered. My race can give you a dignified ending. If you don't agree, you should know the consequences. Making you kneel down and repent is the best ending. These people who stood out didn't wish for Xian and Zhu Onbong to die so miserably in Su Yan's hands. They really wanted to carry out one last negotiation. What's the point of negotiating without the great Tao evolution liquid? Su Yan replied, I'll also give you a piece of advice. Don't provoke me for no reason. Otherwise, I'll wipe you all out. Preposterous. A radical instantly drew his blood-colored sword embryo and released a furious roar. Capture this trash alive and make him regret being born into this world. Kill. Roars filled the sky, shaking the mountains and rivers within 100,000 li. The scene of slaughter engulfing the sky, the crowd of heroes charging forward, the several tens of thousands of elite soldiers attacking the entire mountain, began to crumble in a flash. Countless murderous weapons violently hacked down. What kind of shocking storm was this? The mountain was blasted to smithereens. The spatial palace that was exposed was bombarded by this energy storm. The entire spatial palace began to tremble and shatter into pieces. Chapter 574 /P/P. This was the space palace refined by the gods. It was mainly for defense. Even when the gods were in seclusion, they could temporarily resist the fatal threat when encountering a strong enemy. However, there were simply too many soldiers. Tens of thousands of elite soldiers and generals unleashed their most powerful battle prowess. They even had all sorts of items that they could use to attack the spatial palace, causing it to cave in and begin to crack. Su Yin is finished. He played himself to death. You can't be too crazy. Yes, I'm afraid there is no suspense in this battle. A legend of a generation has fallen like this. How can the top clans be so easy to provoke? You can't go too far in everything. Some people felt that there was no suspense. Even if Su Yin escaped, he couldn't escape from the three young tycoons. In short, they felt that Su Yin was doomed. Kill. The army pressed forward, the world turned blood red. This kind of charge was too valiant. All kinds of secret treasures and divine abilities pressed down, and the entire space palace finally began to explode from the impact. This was just a round of terrifying attacks, but it had already caused such a scene of destruction. Even the Divine Spirit Palace had been forcefully torn apart. Some people felt that even the Divine Spirit Palace would not be able to withstand such a situation and would definitely die. The moment the space palace exploded, many people saw the shadow sitting cross-legged inside, causing their faces to darken. What time was it now? Could it be that Su Yin was still cultivating? Boom. Boundless killing surged. All kinds of weapons flew across the sky, and countless magical techniques spewed out. When the tens of thousands of elite soldiers unleashed their second wave of super powerful attacks, the entire area suddenly resounded with earth-shattering roars of beasts. It was as if one after another, giant beasts that had been sleeping underground had begun to awaken in anger. Bang, 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 bang. The projections of 81 ferocious beasts appeared in this space, filled with killing intent. This scene was too sudden, and the auras of the 81 ferocious beasts combined to form a ferocious killing array that connected the heavens and the earth. Roar. The giant roar was enough to swallow the sky, and a fierce aura emerged like a waterfall. This set of killing weapons was super powerful. The moment it was activated, blood splashed in the sky. A large number of soldiers rushed here and were killed by the awakened killing array. Look! Many people cried out in alarm. Su Yan would definitely not sit still and wait for death. He would use all of his trump cards. However, the set of array discs that he had set up was extremely powerful. 81 giant beasts roared, gushing out a murderous torrent that spread out in all directions. The ancient land was stained with blood, and the battle cries were monstrous. Many people had died, but this did not stop the allied forces of the two peak groups. A large number of masters had already reacted, summoning their artifacts and attacking the 81 giant phantoms in an attempt to destroy the entire killing array. Su Yan, you won't be able to escape. Today is your last day. An endless stream of soldiers and horses arrived. Some experts let out ferocious roars. The casualties just now were extremely heavy. Their eyes were red, and they circulated their strongest power. They wanted to break this killing formation in a few breaths of time. Let's give it a try. Su Yan stood in the blood-stained ancient land. The huge, ominous array revolved around him. This array was violently twisting. Although it emitted a murderous aura and continued to kill the various troops, it would definitely not last for more than 10 breaths. Wong. Su Yan waved his sleeves, and a bloody light surged. An ancient ballista appeared. Bastard. The moment the ballista appeared, the experts of the dark underworld race were furious. The immortal binding rope and the ballista were their treasures, but they were taken away by Su Yan. Now, the ballista was glowing like a giant blood-red bow. Whoosh. Whoosh. The ballista finally began to shoot arrows. Tens of thousands of arrows burst out, and each burst consumed a huge amount of heaven's essence stones. Someone calculated that if a ballista shot for an entire day, it would consume more than 300,000 gene of heaven's essence stones. Just think about it, and you will know how frightening this number was. This was burning money. If 10 ballistas were used, it would be 10,000 taels of gold. Su Yan's other sleeve also shook violently, and a large number of various array discs flew out. Hundreds and thousands of array discs were activated. These treasures were all his gains, and now Su Yan threw them all out and threw them into the battlefield. If you want to kill me, you'll have to pay a price. Su Yan looked around and saw a vast territory filled with killing intent. Fi's black hair danced in the wind, and he was like a young divine king. He soared into the sky and pulled his bow. Under the starry sky, he drew a full moon. The golden bow was released, and one after another, the terrifying killing intent was enough to shatter the sky. Look. The onlookers were agitated. The scene was quite shocking. With every breath, groups of soldiers exploded. But with every breath, a large number of array discs exploded, and the giant array was about to shatter. In the process, Su Yan reaped countless lives. In a short period of time, he drew his bow 108 times. This also caused the area within tens of thousands of miles to become as dark as ink. It could be said that the end of the universe had come. The divine power in the space was completely extracted, and the world was about to enter the age of chaos. Boom. Every arrow was like a meteor crashing into the ground, shattering the territory into pieces. There were countless large cracks in the ground. This was 81 times, and all of them were killing. With the help of this killing weapon, Su Yan emitted a monstrous aura. Countless cultivators died under his arrows. How terrifying Su Yan is. The onlookers were alarmed. In the face of this killing situation, he also had a trump card. He even had the crossbow to cooperate with Su Yan. In a short period of time, he reaped too many enemy heads. He killed until the corner of the battlefield trembled. Many soldiers were alarmed, and their legs went soft. This was a killing god. They felt that even if they captured Su Yan alive, they would suffer heavy losses. Kill him. In a world filled with blood, corpses were everywhere. In the world of blood, the giant array finally began to disintegrate. The strongest defense collapsed, and countless elite soldiers charged. They suppressed the fear in their hearts and rushed towards Su Yan. Boom. There was a loud explosion, and an incomparably ferocious aura emerged. In a distant world, a man with a head of messy hair draped over his shoulders was valiant and extraordinary. His precious body transmitted the roars of dragons and tigers. His aura was like a rainbow, and he was like a martial arts god. His divine eyes were like lightning. Kill. Yuan roared, holding a bloody spear in one arm. Although this bloody spear was broken, the moment Yuan stepped into the domain of the great Dao realm, he realized that there was a terrifying energy hidden in the bloody spear. The moment it awakened, bloody light overflowed, and its aura was terrifying. It was like a blood-colored evil dragon that charged over. The moment the bloody spear swung, the world trembled. Bloody light gushed out like a flood, like an evil dragon that rushed into the sky. Bamboo Moon had been pierced by this bloody spear and almost died. Now that this bloody spear was in Yuan's control, it began to emit the battle prowess it should have. Divine King's soldier. King Flash's eyes suddenly narrowed. This was a damaged Divine King soldier. What was the background of this domineering man? He started a massacre the moment he arrived. Did he not know what day it was today? After all, 2 peak races were surrounding Su Yan. Who would dare to stand out? Someone still came. Roar. In another direction, a bestial roar was about to swallow the moon in the sky. At the end of the world, a black and white panda rushed out. It raised its big round head and roared as it swallowed the moon. The purple gourd hanging around its neck shone, and the chaotic runes within it surged out. Thousands of chaotic sword beams charged into the battlefield. The terrifying aura of a king was released, and the Tai Baokai rushed over. It had a pair of huge wings on its back, and with a stomp of its legs, it was like a flying black rabbit. It leaped into the battlefield, its 4 claws exuding an ancient vicious aura. They were like dragon claws that reached down and tore apart the sky. What's the background of this creature? Sun Dome frowned as he looked at the Tai Baokai. In a short period of time, it had used the secret techniques of 3 races that were once glorious and prosperous. Which race did this creature belong to? Ingjie? How did it grasp these mystical abilities and secret techniques? It's him. Tell the experts of my race to prepare. We must capture him alive. The people of the demon region noticed the Tai Baokai, and their faces turned cold. According to their intelligence, the banners of demons were on the Tai Baokai. As long as they could capture the Tai Baokai, they would be able to obtain the banners of demons. That was a supreme treasure that controlled the origin of the demon region. It could be called the strongest supreme treasure in history, the banners of demons. Its significance was self-evident. There was even a legend left behind in the demon region. As long as one could obtain the banners of demons, they could become the supreme of the demon region. In any case, the sudden appearance of these 2 experts threw the battlefield into chaos. They were too ferocious. They slaughtered their way out, taking out their killing weapons and sacrificing a large number of soldiers. Ha 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 ha. Su Yan looked up to the sky and roared. His aura was tyrannical. His pores gushed out tens of thousands of blood essence rays, like tens of thousands of dragons out of the cage. Su Yan was wearing the chaotic armor and holding the immortal iron staff. How valiant was he? Su Yan completely gave up on resisting. He used the chaotic armor to defend and the immortal iron staff to open the way. He was like a vicious dragon that came out of the cage, crazily slaughtering his way over. The 3 brothers were going to gather together. Brats, hand over your lives to your grandpa. However, in another direction, vicious energy pervaded the air, the earth trembling. In the distant world, resplendent radiance surged. Endless divine light surged within, radiating outwards. He was like a primitive who had barged out from a savage world. He walked over with large strides, thunder rumbling as he landed, mountains rumbling in unison. Boom. P, the Supreme Being, directly raised his coarse large hand, slapping a large group to death with a single slap. P. Tensor didn't use the black heavenly blade, fearing that Sun Dome and the other two would notice. The Supreme Being's physical body was powerful, charging over like a barbaric dragon. P. Heavens, how could it be like this? 3 great experts came, and the Supreme Being from the Big Dipper starfield also slaughtered his way over. P. I overlooked the Supreme Being. Perhaps the current 4 giants of the divine spiritual mountain range are still missing a Supreme Being. They should be called the 5 young giants. P. This scene made countless onlookers' hair stand on end. Didn't they say that they were going to encircle and annihilate Su Yin? After all, under the pressure of 2 peak races, who would dare to come and cause trouble? P. However, 3 great fierce men came out at once, cooperating with Su Yin, this terrifying leader who had already slaughtered his way to the top of his generation. P. They felt as if 100,000 li of territory was trembling. The 4 great experts ignited their battle blood, their auras like rainbows. P. Their auras completely gushed out, like 4 giant dragons crossing the sky, pushing forth a tyrannical power, bombarding the mountains and rivers until they lost their color, the wilderness rumbling. P/P/P/P/P/P. Chapter 575. It's fine if it's just the sovereign physique, but where did these 2 come from? How can they have such powerful battle prowess? Especially that creature that looks like a big fat cat. I feel that its battle prowess isn't much inferior to the sovereign physique. Someone was astonished. They couldn't tell what kind of battle beast the giant panda was. Could it be that another mysterious divine beast race had appeared in the cultivation world? This scene was enough to shock everyone. These were unexpected reinforcements. Even Tai Baotsai's battle prowess astonished them. First of all, Tai Baokai could still continue to improve. It hadn't absorbed all the great Dao imprints in the banners of demons yet. Tai Baokai felt that it could obtain 9 great Dao imprints, and it was only half done now. Right now, Tai Baokai couldn't be considered a true great Dao realm elite. Its situation was about the same as Su Yan's. However, there was one point. The more great Dao imprints one obtained, the slower one's future cultivation would be. After all, some great Daos were too difficult to cultivate. In fact, the further one progressed, the harder it would be. It was already impressive for some people to obtain several types of great Dao imprints, but there were 9 types of great Dao imprints in the banners of demons. If one could obtain the recognition of all the great Dao imprints, it was very likely that they could obtain the immortal treasures of the 9 supreme beings of the demon region. From this, it could be seen how precious the banners of demons were. The supreme inheritances of the past generations all existed above the banners of demons. The banners of demons were also enough to represent the supreme glory of the demon region. No matter what, the 3 great elites charged into the battlefield. This was an extremely shocking scene. The battlefield was filled with corpses, and blood flowed like a river. Tensor's battle prowess attracted everyone's attention. How could a sovereign physique be weak? It emitted a terrifying light of energy, sweeping through a corner of the battlefield and killing the enemy until they threw away their armor. Boom! Although Yuan had just stepped into the great Dao realm, his battle prowess was also very strong. He specialized in the cultivation of the physical body. Especially when he raised the blood spear, the heaven and earth trembled violently, and the sun and moon lost their light. When the battle spear struck, terrifying energy rippled and tore open a terrifying bloody path. The most dangerous part of the battle was the central area of the encirclement. Murderous light surged, and the world was dyed red with blood. Countless experts charged forward. Su Yin, who had given up on resisting, had the primal chaos armor to protect his body. However, no matter how strong the primal chaos armor was, it was impossible for him to withstand so many attacks. However, Su Yin didn't need that much time either. In that short period of time, he erupted with astonishing Overlord-level strength, brandishing the immortal iron staff, smashing it in all directions, as if he was a war god who was bombarding the cosmos, striking the heavenly drum. Kill! Su Yan roared loudly. He was peerlessly valiant, heroic, and overbearing. His black hair fluttered in the wind while the combat strength in his body skyrocketed, and it affected the world to the point it was extremely distorted. It was like a vast universe prison was unfolding. A large number of soldiers cried out miserably as they were crushed by Su Yan's awakened aura. He was like an invincible god of war as the ancestral phoenix wings erupted. The heaven and earth surged, and the starry sky seemed to be torn apart. Groups of enemy soldiers were crushed by the giant wings. Su Yan's aura was astonishing. Ordinary combat weapons simply could not block it. They did not even have the chance to approach Su Yan. Block him for me. A group of cultivators with powerful auras rushed over. They brandished their battle spears, and their battle bodies shone brightly. They were communicating with each other as they attacked, praying to use their strongest combat strength to trap Su Yan. As long as they could trap Su Yan, he wouldn't have any room to struggle. Those who block me shall die. Su Yan's eyes erupted with divine radiance. Facing a frontal assault, Su Yan's method was simple and tyrannical. He raised his fist and punched forward. This was the fist of time. It was not obstructed by any energy or material. It pierced through time and space and was extremely resplendent. In an instant, it blasted forward, smashing the group of experts who were attacking him into a bloody mist. The people in the surroundings were terrified. Su Yan's aura was too ferocious, capable of sweeping through an army of 1,000 and fighting against 10,000 enemies. In fact, Su Yan did not erupt with his strongest strength. He still had to preserve his true strength to deal with the upcoming situation. His enemies were Sun Dome and Shueguan's group, and not these cultivators. What kind of fist technique is that? Sun Dome and King Flash's expressions darkened. Su Yan's ability to pierce through time and space in such a strange manner was not something that Su Yan could grasp at the moment, but he still did it. They even thought of the fist technique that Su Yan used to kill the shadow. There was no suspense. Now, they could all be sure that Su Yan was the great thief who stole their treasures. I really underestimated him. Su Yan, what a great guy. Sun Dome said coldly, Brother Lightning, no matter what, let's not hurt our friendship for the time being. We'll deal with the creation substance after the curtains are drawn. What do you think? When the time comes, we'll rely on our own abilities. The loser will never mention the creation substance. The Lightning King did not have any objections. He stared at Su Yan and secretly sneered. He did not think that Su Yan would be able to escape. No matter how strong he was, there would be a time when he would be exhausted. Sooner or later, he would be exhausted. Rumble. This battle caused rivers and mountains to bleed. A large number of enemy troops rushed madly toward the central region. A bloody storm swept through the world. Everything was too tragic. Countless corpses lay on the ground. A large number of cultivators fell from the sky and were smashed to pieces by Su Yan. That immortal iron staff was domineering. When it was swung, it sent groups of soldiers flying. Almost none of the cultivators who were hit survived. Suppress him. His aura is declining. The experts of the Ancestral Hall and the dark underworld race cried out in grief and indignation. This round of attacks was quite shocking. A large number of experts joined forces and brought out all kinds of great weapons. They activated all kinds of divine abilities and rushed forward like a terrifying gale. The world was riddled with holes. Endless energy crushed down and drowned Su Yan. The primal chaos armor was distorted beyond recognition. There were even cracks on it. A great weapon struck Su Yan's back and caused him to stagger. Su Yan felt like he was being crushed by a mountain and was about to be thrown into purgatory. Roar! Su Yan's eyes turned vertical as he let out a long howl. He was truly enraged. A murderous glint burned in his eyes. The originally declining aura in his body suddenly surged, as though it was burning his sea of life. Dong! Su Yan soared into the sky. He wore the damaged primal chaos armor and carried the ancestral phoenix wings on his back. He spread his wings and soared into the sky. In an instant, he broke through the various divine storms that sealed him. Look over there. The spectating cultivators in the distance trembled. They saw a golden war god break through the prison and rush into the clouds. All kinds of terrifying streams of energy rushed out from his pores and swept through the desolate lands. This was the power to sweep through 1,000 armies. He was brave and unmatched as he rushed through the battlefield. His speed was so fast that it made one's hair stand on end. Wherever the immortal iron staff passed, a long string of blood blossomed and dyed the shattered rivers and mountains red. How is this possible? Someone let out an uncontrollable cry. Suyin had clearly suffered great losses, so how could he recover in such a short period of time? Suyin had eaten a true dragon leaf. Tinsir and the others had also eaten a true dragon leaf. In a short period of time, they had all awakened. The 4 great experts suppressed the entire battlefield until it trembled. Blood splashed out like a waterfall, and countless corpses flew into the sky. This was a valiant and unstoppable iron-blooded fighting strength. That supreme spiritual will was revealed, crushing the majority of the soldiers into panic. They felt a chill run down their spines. Many cultivators were scared out of their wits. It was already such a powerful killing trap, yet it still couldn't trap him. Even a number of soldiers slaughtered by Suyin was uncountable. Not good, let's go. When Suyin brought out the bone realm wrapped in primal chaos energy, the group of senior elders from the ancestral palace had a drastic change in expression. This was the bone realm of a great expert. This bone realm was extremely special. It could affect time and space, and even reverse time and space. This realm could be called a forbidden treasure. The more it was used, the more severe the losses would be. Although it was said that the divine spiritual mountain range suppressed these treasures, as long as the power of the bone realm was suppressed, Suyin only needed to borrow the power of the bone realm to suppress a space. Zuanbang's supreme treasure has already been grasped by Suyin. The scene that unfolded was too ferocious. Suyin suppressed the space and time. He could be said to be the master of the universe. In a flash, a bloody hole was plowed through the sky. The onlookers outside were frightened. They discovered that a group of powerful creatures had scattered in the vast battlefield. Without a doubt, Suyin had taken advantage of the moment when they were working together and advancing and retreating together to decisively take out the Bone Realm experts to reap their lives. Once this group of experts was killed, the pressure on Suyin would be greatly reduced. Not to mention that Yuan and the others had come to help Suyin block many soldiers. As long as it wasn't to the extent where they could injure Suyin with a single strike, he would have a way to break out of this situation. I think that Suyin and the others have seized the initiative. Suyin's primal chaos armor has been shattered, but he killed one and directly took it off to wear it on his body. Suyin has completely given up on resisting. With the battle constitution and armor to protect his body and the immortal iron staff to open a path, he killed the enemy until they threw away their armor and suffered heavy casualties. There are even cultivators who have fled, scared out of their wits. This battle was too shocking. They thought that the 4 great experts would gather and kill a bloody world with a peerless attitude. However, the demon territory suddenly attacked with thousands of soldiers and horses. They were actually targeting the Tai Bao Kai. Many cultivators who were watching the battle were stunned. They seriously looked at the Tai Bao Kai. The demon territory's movements were too big. They suddenly felt that perhaps the hatred between the demon territory and Suyin was caused by the Tai Bao Kai. You lackeys of the North Demon, don't force me to use violence. Suyin's eyes flashed with killing intent. He was furious, and a murderous aura in his body surged to the heavens. There were many soldiers and horses from the demon region. Powerful cultivators filled the sky, and even the dragon snake made his move. The protector of the North Demon tribe once again issued a battle order. They had to snatch the 10,000 demon flag before the immortal mountain range opened. Suyin, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. If the North Demon territory comes, we can easily suppress you." The dragon snake's eyes were red. "Force you to use violence?" How many experts of the demon territory had died at their hands? Even the demon godflower had been taken by Su Yin and eaten by the Tai Bao Kai. The dragon snake wanted nothing more than to pull out Su Yan's tendons and skin him alive. On the vast battlefield, killing intent swept the sky. Everyone could see that the two tribes' allied army had been completely defeated. They didn't expect Su Yin to have such powerful reinforcements. However, the demon territory suddenly deployed a large number of troops to surround the Tai Bao Kai. Was there a turning point? "Su Yin, you're too meddlesome," King Flash said coldly. "Today is to solve your problem, and you still have the time to worry about others? You've killed enough. It could be considered a glorious battle. What else do you have to say?" The crowd was in an uproar. King Flash seemed to want Su Yin to leave behind his last words. They were going to attack. Chapter 576. "Su Yin, if you don't hand over the little ancestor, you will die a miserable death. Our race's almighty experts are entrenched in the outside world. If you go too far, no one will be able to save you." The experts from the Ancestral Hall and the Dark Underworld race roared. They had tacitly approved of King Flash's actions. If they continued to kill, not only would they not be able to capture Su Yin, but they would also lose their prestige and become a laughingstock. The eyes of the three experts from the Sun Dome emitted a murderous glint. Since the divine king of their race had given up on them, and the two tribes had suffered a crushing defeat, they would decisively take action to suppress Su Yin and obtain what they wanted. Ha 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 ha. This scene caused Su Yin to look up at the sky and laugh. "Today, only one of us will live. If you want the person, then come at me. I, Su Yin, am not afraid of clowns like you." Arrogant bastard. The three experts walked over one after another. Each of them possessed unparalleled methods within their generation. The moment their auras began to pervade the air, the corpse-piled battlefield began to show signs of destruction. Murderous light blotted out the sun as supreme majesty soared into the sky. Three monstrous domains were released, all of them emitting an invincible aura. These were three giants of the younger generation. All of them were people who looked down on the world. Now that they had formed an alliance, it could not help but cause others to feel despair. If they were to really fight, they would definitely crush Su Yin and suppress him into the abyss, never to rise again. Dao brothers, not taking Su Yan's head is one of the greatest regrets of my life. Let me take action first and suppress him. Shueguan was the first to erupt. He was like an emperor overlooking the world, inspecting his territory and looking down on his subjects. At this moment, Shueguan's prestige was great and had the momentum to swallow the world. It seems like it's about to begin. The two tribes have been defeated. I have to admit that Su Yin is powerful. Shueguan is even more confident. He even dares to attack. I really want to see how strong Shueguan is. The entire audience was in an uproar. Some people were stunned by Shueguan's confidence. Facing a peerless character like Su Yin, Shueguan was not afraid at all. He made a move without hesitation. Could it be that this person had accumulated a supreme foundation and was qualified to contend for hegemony in the future? Boom! The heavens trembled, as if it was being covered and pressed into a palm. Everyone saw Shueguan raise his hand. It was as if he was suppressing the universe and heaven and earth. His entire palm overflowed with flames and descended from the heavens just like that, revealing the might of a dragon. This was the dragon capturing hand. With Shueguan's cultivation, the world fell into darkness when he used the dragon capturing hand. This palm seemed to be able to suppress and collect everything. When it descended from the sky, people seemed to see a boundless giant palm being projected from the outer realm. How terrifying! 10,000 creatures trembled. This palm was too tyrannical, full of the might of kings. It made the blood-soaked ancient land tremble uncontrollably, to the extent where many large cracks even appeared. This palm contained enough power to destroy the world. The great hand covered the sky. Even gods and devils had to retreat. The dragon capturing hand descended from the sky to directly bind Su Yin. You want to capture me with a single hand? Shui Guan, your confidence is truly great. Su Yan's pupils widened. That dragon capturing hand was indeed grand. It sealed the heaven and earth, carrying with it an unstoppable cosmic flood. It surged downwards, making the cultivators on the distant great earth tremble. They all felt as if they were being suppressed. When the dragon capturing hand was about to make contact with Su Yan's aura also became imposing. It was as if a golden war god towered between heaven and earth, indomitable. Long, the bleeding ancient land trembled. The dragon capturing hand couldn't suppress it, but when the two domains collided, all types of destructive beams of light were produced, blasting the void until it was in tatters. This region was about to turn into a large black hole. The aura of their exchange seemed calm, but it actually contained terrifying destructive force. Enough! A cold shout erupted. This was the might that originated from Shui Guan. He immediately recovered, crossing over. His large hand was suddenly raised, and when it descended again, the scene of a true dragon being captured appeared. Suppress! Shui Guan was callous and tyrannical. He extended a single arm, and his palm blazed with heaven overflowing brilliance. It collapsed Su Yan's human domain, and in that instant, it smashed murderously toward Su Yan. However, everyone saw that Su Yan disappeared in a blur. It was because his speed was just too fast, and in the next moment, he reappeared. Everyone was in an uproar when they saw Su Yan descend from the sky. He was indomitable and stood on the great earth like an unequaled war god. He raised his golden foot and stomped on Shui Guan. Shui Guan was alarmed and furious. He waved his palm in the blink of an eye and slapped towards Su Yan, who was descending from the sky. This was a true contest, but Su Yan's aura was infinitely strengthened. His battle body was suffused with golden divine radiance. He stood on the great earth like a giant who could support the heaven and earth. He was extremely ferocious. Even his left and right hands were shining at the same time. Resplendent light overflowed into the sky. Long, Su Yan, who was standing on the great enemy of the great wilderness, emitted an overflowing might. The Big Dipper Fist and Solar Fist were awakened at the same time. Some people saw the endless sun rushing towards the sun dome, while others saw the great stars of the universe rushing towards King Flash. Everyone was dumbfounded. What was he doing? He was attacking 3 young giants at the same time. However, Su Yan still made his move. This caused the Sun Dome and King Flash to release sky-shattering flames of fury. They wanted to burn the world down. This was a type of humiliation for them. Attacking 3 young giants at the same time could be considered an insult to them. He's gone mad. Someone cried out in alarm. Madman Su is indeed Madman Su. Too domineering. Let me ask you who dares. The spectators were incomparably fanatical. This was simply too daring. Everyone felt that Su Yan had eaten the guts of a true immortal. He actually dared to attack 3 young giants at the same time. He unleashed his terrifying fighting strength. He stepped on Su Yan and bombarded the 2 great star domain supreme experts with his fists. The heavens were torn apart. The scene of these 3 unequal giants was quite terrifying. Everything was blurry as a large black hole was formed within a radius of 10,000 li. Endless energy fields collided here. The boundless 10,000 li was destroyed in an instant. It completely collapsed. Countless soldiers cried out miserably. The 3 experts attacked in anger without any regard for the consequences. Just think about it, and one would know how disastrous the casualties were. This place had completely turned into a purgatory. No one could walk out alive. They were all crushed by the colliding energy fields. Buzz, blood light soared into the heavens. Thousands of miles of mountains and rivers were blasted apart. Only a few figures, which were like the furnace of the universe, were shining brilliantly. However, they were like furious war gods, emitting terrifying energy light as they attempted to kill Su Yan. He's dead for sure. He's provoked 3 young giants. Su Yan, oh Su Yan, you really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The Purple Jade King felt that Su Yan was courting death. He had provoked 3 young giants just like that. In that case, what awaited Su Yan was to crush him without any regard for the consequences. This was to make him realize reality. Don't talk nonsense. Just kill him. The 3 young giants rushed over. Their eyes were ice cold. They simultaneously evolved great divine abilities and drew upon the world-shocking divine energy within their bodies. Is it going to end? The 3 really joined hands. The surrounding cultivators muttered to themselves. Today might very well be the day when a generation's heaven's pride falls. Those 3 figures with terrifying auras rushed towards Su Yan. The power they displayed was too astonishing. Even the heavens above and earth below were trapped. A killing force that was like a vast ocean descended from the heavens. It intimidated the mountains and rivers, making this blood-soaked ancient land tremble as well. Just how tyrannical and powerful was this? Everyone could feel their spiritual will. They wanted to kill Su Yan. If the 3 young giants joined hands and still couldn't kill Su Yan, they all felt that this was the greatest humiliation. How long? When the endless divine energy engulfed over, nothing could be seen clearly. Su Yan's figure became indistinct, as if it was starting to distort and shatter. No, it was also at this moment that miserable screams erupted. In Xian and Zuanbong were picked up by Su Yan, swung around like human weapons. The 2 experts released miserable screams, dying under this situation. They really would have been better off being killed by Su Yan. After all, being swung around like human weapons by Su Yan in front of everyone's eyes, this kind of death was indeed too tragic. However, they couldn't avoid it. The 3 young giants didn't restrain their anger either. Little ancestor. The blood-soaked rivers and mountains released cries of alarm and anger. Zuanbong and Inxian were completely finished. They exploded into 2 clouds of bloody mist under this energy storm. The ancestral palace's people roared uncontrollably. Rather than dying under this kind of situation, they really would have been better off being directly killed by Su Yan. This was especially true for the Dark Nether Race's experts. Their eyes were red. Inxian had been suppressed by Su Yan for several years, but today he was taken out and killed. It had to be said that this was too tragic. This was completely trampling on their race's dignity. Many people became silent. There were also some who were so frightened by Su Yan's vicious aura that they felt a chill run down their backs. Today, the representatives of 2 peak races met such a tragic end. Boom! However, after they died, an exceptionally terrifying aura spread out. Inxian's body had the imprint left by the Divine King. After being killed, he revived and emitted a terrifying light, causing the 3 young giants to tremble in fear. Their bodies were on the verge of shattering. This was the Divine King's will. Even if it was just a will, it was still very difficult to bear. Their bodies and minds felt like they were being torn apart. However, as the world moved on, what did the Divine Kings account for? It was an enormous and indistinct shadow that filled the universe's starry skies. Who killed my bloodline? The voice attacked. The millions of miles of mountains and rivers were shaken by this voice. It was as if the voice was the law. Even the stars in outer space were shaken until they rustled. All life forms prostrated themselves and trembled. The closer they were to the source of the voice, the more miserable the killing became. Su Yan and the other 3 coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. Their eyes were filled with shock. Even a wisp of a supreme being's will made them feel as if they had fallen into an icy cave. It was to the extent that in the boundless cosmos, star domains began to shine one after another, as if they were unique coordinates. There were millions of star domains in the cosmos, but right now, a star domain path was trembling. This was because it was disturbed by a type of aura. It was as if it had come from the distant edge of the universe. Wave after wave, it was like a prehistoric whirlwind. It whistled through the air and headed straight for the Z-Way starfield. Who killed my bloodline? Chapter 577. Who sever my bloodline? In the sky, on the ground, in the starry sky, a person's voice echoed for a long time. It seemed to reverberate in the air of time and space, resounding throughout the entire Z-Way segmentum. The voice was majestic, enough to penetrate one's soul. It was like the Lord of the Heavens was asking a question. Every syllable contained boundless killing intent, causing one's soul to disperse. Countless creatures trembled, their hearts filled with indescribable awe. And in the Z-Way segmentum, a blurry shadow appeared. It was huge and boundless, with its head in the sky, overlooking the universe and starry sky. He was too strong. The light released from his body filled the vast segmentum. This was one of the largest living segmentum in the universe. But the aura of the Almighty made the entire segmentum fluctuate, rumble, and countless stars trembled. In fact, this wasn't even a real shadow. In the distant ends of the universe, layers upon layers of supreme auras swept over. As they passed through one star system after another, wherever his aura passed, all the star systems would dim and lose their light. The world fell into silence. When that terrifying shadow crossed the river of time and space and arrived in the Z-Way segmentum, that shadow was too terrifying. It released chaotic light, and the light of blood essence that spread out from its body drowned the vast Z-Way segmentum. It made billions of creatures tremble, and there were even powerhouses who knelt down and kowtowed. Almighty. These two words were too heavy. It represented the peak, glory, invincibility, a giant. Almighties could also be described as glorious. They were the strongest existences in the universe. Once an Almighty was born, even God-kings would have to pay their respects. Every Almighty represented glory and legend. This was especially true for the Almighty from the Ancestral Hall. They were supreme existences that could look down on the universe's star fields. Peak races all had Almighties overseeing them. Even if they didn't, they had the foundation to resist the Almighties. If they lost these, they would naturally lose their status. Therefore, the strongest living ancient star symbolized the peak and glory. It was recognized by the cultivation world as the birthplace of heroes. The sinking of the Big Dipper caused the Big Dipper segmentum to lose this foundation, losing the qualification to be one of the 10 strongest races. The entire Z-Way segmentum was now filled with the aura of mighty figures. Only the Z-Way star was able to maintain its operation without being suppressed. Moreover, the Z-Way star was glowing on its own. Vaguely, there were great path true dragons soaring in the sky. This was the foundation of the Crepe Myrtle sect. The sect's foundation was hidden in the Crepe Myrtle star and could be used at a critical moment. Boom! The great universe rumbled. The mighty figure had already crossed over. His body was drowned in chaotic aura. It was as if he was standing in a chaotic universe. Billions of rays of light of the order of the Great Tao were emitted. They burned fiercely and illuminated the entire Z-Way segmentum. He was too horrifying. Even though he was suppressing his own energy, his murderous aura was enough to make the world flicker and crack. It was difficult for this universe to contain his constitution. Greetings, Almighty. On the bipolar star, the deities were all dim without light. They were suppressed by the radiance emitted by the Almighty Being. They all seemed extremely weak and small. Their hearts were also filled with fear as they hurriedly walked over to pay their respects. At this moment, whether it was the Nine-Yang sect, the Divine Firmament segmentum, or the Crepe Myrtle sect, regardless of their identity and status, even their sect masters had to step forward and pay their respects. Almighty was not just a title of a cultivation level. It was also a title of glory. Everyone had to be absolutely respectful when they met a mighty being. They were not just cultivators, but supreme giants who could destroy the world. They could stand there and destroy the strong orthodoxies hundreds of galaxies away with just a flick of their finger. Just think about it, and you would know how terrifying a mighty being was. The bipolar star was about to fall silent. All the experts present bowed and did not dare to say a word. Junior In Yuan Shi, Junior In Yuan Kue greets the mighty being. Even the two divine kings of the dark underworld race came forward and bowed, as if they were listening to his teachings. So what if the divine king was a divine king? In front of a mighty being, any living being was like an ant, no different from a mortal, unless they really had heaven-defying battle prowess, peerless potential, and endless power. However, it was really difficult for a divine king to challenge a mighty being, unless he could gather endless divine skills and the great Tao to create an unimaginable domain of the divine king. Mighty beings were already recognized as the supreme giants of the universe. They were existences that looked down on the world. They had experienced too many disasters and disasters. In the end, they stood at the top of the pyramid and had the power to change the tide of the era. Buzz, the ancestral hall's ancestors' eyes were burning fiercely, as if thousands of stars in the universe had exploded and shot out world-destroying light. When Zhu Onbong died, he had already seen the place where his descendants were killed. Even if the divine mountain range was blocking the way, the mighty being could still sense it. At this moment, he did not say a word. Only his eyes glowed like two huge chaotic vortexes burning. If you're not strong enough, don't look. The deities were terrified. They berated their followers not to look at the mighty being's divine eyes. Once the mighty being's divine eyes were opened, only the great figures of the various races had the qualifications to see what exactly happened in the divine mountain range. Zhu Wenxiong was trembling. Zhu Onbong was definitely dead. Otherwise, the ancestral hall's ancestor would not have come. However, Zhu Wenxiong and the other experts were also very puzzled. Even if Zhu Onbong died, would the mighty being really take action personally? Existences like them would not pay too much attention to the affairs of the mortal world. Even if something happened to their disciples, their race's unrivaled experts would slaughter their way out to restore their lost prestige. They felt that the ancestral hall's ancestor had come too quickly, as if he was looking for an excuse. However, no matter what, he had already come. When his eyes burned, they directly pierced through the divine mountain range. The entire divine mountain range was like a pond in his eyes. However, the ancestral hall's ancestor could not see the entire picture, but he saw the place where Zhu Onbong died. Heavens! Some of the great figures' hearts trembled. A bloody scene of corpses strewn across 100,000 li appeared in the eyes of the mighty being. Too many people had died, too many to count. Blood and broken bones were everywhere. The ground was littered with corpses. The stench of blood was extremely thick. The dark underworld race's experts went crazy. They never thought that this would be the result. The two great races had slaughtered their way in with tens of thousands of elite soldiers, but they were still defeated miserably. Moreover, the ancestral hall's resource lands were completely destroyed. Everything was in ruins. This was a world of blood. Even in the eyes of the mighty being, time seemed to flow in reverse. Many scenes returned. The Fiend region's people's expressions were ugly. Tai Baokai had grown up. He definitely obtained the great Tao imprint from the banners of demons. The four young experts slaughtered until corpses were strewn across 100,000 li rivers of blood flowed. Corpses piled up like mountains. A few old deities felt a chill. This was extremely terrifying. If they were in the same era as Su Yin, they might not be able to last more than a few exchanges and be killed. The mighty being has come. In this blood-soaked ancient land, the eyes of the mighty being could be sensed. Sun Dome's group of three did not dare breathe loudly. Angering a mighty being was the same as digging one's own grave. Even the supreme beings of the heavens did not dare provoke a mighty being. This was because their methods were too powerful. They could trace back time and do some heaven-defying things. When the scene moved to the moment when Su Yin wielded the two murderous weapons in human form and attacked the three young experts, the experts of the Nine Yang sect and Divine Firmament sect were terrified. Zhu Onbong's death was fixed in the mighty being's eyes. Finally, his terrifying eyes stared at Su Yin. Oh no, an old monster has really come. Su Yin's scalp went numb. If it wasn't for the great distance and the special environment of the divine spiritual mountain, He reckoned that the mighty being could have killed him directly with his eyes. His blood splattered across the sky. The mighty being is here. Madman Su is finished. Everyone present was trembling. How could they have imagined that the Almighty would arrive so quickly? That supreme aura had already filled the entrance to the divine spiritual mountain range. Accompanied by the anger of the Almighty, the vast and boundless territory was about to sink. Wong, just as the mighty being's aura was about to enter, the divine spiritual mountain was set ablaze. The bloody light was like an ocean. The murderous aura of the ancient gods filled the air. The entire divine spiritual mountain was like a place of purgatory that had opened, blocking the mighty being's murderous aura. However, a peerless and terrifying aura was emitted, shaking the divine spiritual mountain. The vast territory shook with it. Kacha! Countless large cracks appeared on the ground. Many of the gods' murderous aura were incinerated and turned into ashes. For a moment, the mountains and seas trembled. A terrifying and boundless aura surged out. It was a terrifying palm that appeared. It was incomparably huge, pressing against the entrance of the divine spiritual mountain and covering the inside. This palm was boundless. The center of the palm was like a sea of stars. All kinds of stars, suns, and moons floated up and down. It was like a real dimension of the universe. Wherever it passed, the sun and moon sank. The scene was monstrous. Even if the murderous aura of the gods blocked it, it was now crushed. Finally, the dust can be settled. Zhu Wenxiong heaved a sigh of relief. As long as they could capture Su Yan alive and get everything the ancestor wanted, he might not pursue their mistakes. The entire world was filled with destruction. The giant palm covered the sky and passed through with a supreme attitude. Let's go. Su Yan suddenly disappeared from his original spot. He began to cross like a madman to reach the final destination. Su Yan, you can't escape. In front of my race's ancestor, you can't even be considered an ant. Where can you run to? Lowly insect, the almighty expert has given you enough face to kill you. Stop. The survivors of the ancestral hall felt that they could see the light of day again. They shouted excitedly and roared. Their hearts were filled with incomparable excitement. This was the glory of their race. The arrival of the slaughter represented the peak of prosperity. Once the almighty expert appeared, who could contend against him? The almighty expert's hand was too fast and was about to close in on Su Yan. However, some people saw Su Yan take out a realm-shattering talisman and open up an ancient space-time path that led straight to the Forbidden Zone. Many people saw through Su Yan's intentions. But could the Forbidden Zone withstand the power of the almighty expert? Now, this palm had opened up a huge black crack hundreds of thousands of miles long. Its aura suppressed the outer region of the divine spiritual mountain until it was about to explode. However, its aura still alarmed the entire divine spiritual mountain in the end. Clang, clang. It was like the sound of a bell that shook the heavens. The ancient and mysterious divine spiritual mountain range had suffered a calamity in the past, but the vast Forbidden Zone also shot out endless divine radiance. Inside, there were chaotic scenes of gods and demons. Giant vicious beasts appeared in the sky. Ancient Buddhas chanted sutras, Tao bells rumbled, and auspicious beasts spat out multicolored clouds. Chapter 578. The Forbidden Zone was like a pure land separated from purgatory. All kinds of ancient Buddhas and Taoists were overseeing it. They were solemn and dignified as they chanted sutras and paid respects to the Buddhas. It was like a scene from prehistory. They preached the Tao here, opened Tao temples, and spread their inheritances. It could be said that this place was sacred to the extreme. Clouds and rosy clouds could be seen everywhere. The aura was pure and auspicious. It was like an immortal domain world. In the last universe era, this place was known as the Tao Temple of the Gods. All the major powers gathered here and lived in harmony. It could be said that the Tao Temple of the Gods was the birthplace of various geniuses. This is These scenes caused all the major powers to fall silent. What exactly had happened in the last universe era? Why had the godly spiritual mountain range collapsed and even turned into a forbidden zone? Why had the fallen gods left behind an eternal and indestructible will, ultimately forming the god-slaying, killing array? There was even the distant Big Dipper star domain. The Big Dipper star had also sunk and turned into a forbidden zone, forming the Star Tomb world. Although it opened every era, it would never be opened for more than 100 years. These two matters were the two great mysteries of the last universe era. Even now, they still couldn't be solved. The Forbidden Zone's changes. Now, many experts from the major powers were watching this scene. They sighed endlessly. The end of time had buried too much history. Humph! Ancestral halls, ancient ancestors snorted. Sound waves spread out, causing the world to tremble. The sound waves contained the tyrannical power of the Great Tao. It could be understood as the power of order. This light of order was filled with supreme power. It could casually create a universe. This was a method that the great powers were proud of. It could forcefully change the environment of a universe. That snort transmitted over, exploding within the Forbidden Zone. The originally auspicious scene here instantly exploded and was destroyed. However, what replaced it was as if purgatory had been opened. All kinds of terrifying bloody lights were emitted. It was malevolent to the extreme. One could say that gods were crying and ghosts were weeping. Faint demonic sounds could be heard. All kinds of death auras swept through the sky. It was completely a domain in an immortal realm. This kind of sharp contrast was hard to accept. The prehistoric divine phenomenon just now felt like ashes to ashes, dust to dust. This purgatory burned extremely tyrannically. It was as if it had turned into the source of destruction, filling the air with endless murderous currents. Here, war cries shook the heavens. It was as if millions of soldiers were marching out. The vicious aura rushed into the horizon. It's too fierce. Is it the most powerful forbidden area in the divine, spiritual mountain range? The surrounding spectators were all alarmed. It was like a blood-colored land of evil, boundless and endless. It released bloody light on its own, releasing a vicious aura that spread throughout the entire divine mountain range. Su Yin broke in. Can he come out alive? Many people were watching and saw Su Yin escaping into the bloody vile earth. Even in the process of him crossing, there was a tendency that he would be buried by the purgatory world. Buzz! The almighty bone realm hovered above his head, suppressing the space around him, ensuring that he could safely cross the forbidden area. Su Yin looked back and saw a shadow at the entrance of the divine spiritual mountain range. That was a domineering aura, an energy that could sweep away everything in a domineering aura. This caused Su Yin to clench his fists. His battle blood was boiling. He didn't despair. He had a terrifying fighting spirit. He knew that he was still young, and there was still hope for him to struggle. One day, when I become such an expert, who will dare to humiliate me? Su Yin gritted his teeth. His heart burned with the flames of war. His eyes widened as he looked at the ultimate land. He had to escape into the ultimate land. There was no way out now. Only by entering the ultimate land would he have hope of ascending the Great Tao Mountain. If the Great Tao Mountain couldn't stop the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor, Su Yin didn't know if there was a way out. However, he felt that it was impossible for him to ascend the Great Tao Mountain with his strength. If the Almighty took action and used a supreme ability to blast open the ultimate land, the Great Tao Mountain might resurface. Su Yin had immortal jades and could enter the Great Tao Mountain to cultivate in seclusion. He felt that the ancestral hall couldn't obtain the Great Tao Mountain from the divine spiritual mountain range. It was even hidden in the heavenly mountain of the Big Dipper. Su Yin was sure that the 9 supreme treasures left behind by the ancestors of the burial realm were truly terrifying. Even the Almighty couldn't take them away. Only their race could open the immortal mountain's inheritance. They should be hiding. I will also survive. Su Yin took a deep breath. He had already informed Bao Kai and the others. If the Almighty really came, they would scatter. Once they gathered together, they would be wiped out. That would be a waste of effort. Moreover, the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor's target was Su Yin. He didn't know that Yuan and Baokai were also descendants of the burial realm. Now that he had attracted the attention of the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor, Su Yin could only hope that they could take advantage of the chaos to retreat first. Boom! The ancestral hall's ancient ancestor's palm slowly pressed down. In the process, mountains exploded one after another. The weaker killing formations couldn't stop his power at all. The power of the Almighty couldn't be calculated with common sense. Even if he really encountered an obstacle, it would be difficult to stop him. Moreover, the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor was definitely at the peak of the Almighty realm. Su Yin is completely finished. The Forbidden Area can't stop the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor at all. The blood-colored vial Earth is trembling and showing signs of collapsing. This is an Almighty who is coming with fury. Even though Su Yin has fled to the Forbidden Area, it won't be long before the Almighty overturns the Forbidden Area and captures Su Yin alive. Many people trembled in fear. This was too tyrannical, using supreme methods to kill Su Yin. Some of the cultivators who revered Su Yin were furious. What was the meaning of this? The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. Zuanbong was defeated, and now the Almighty was targeting Su Yin. It was completely like an adult coming out to teach Su Yin a lesson in a fight between children. They felt that it wasn't worth it for Su Yin. Being captured alive like this was too sullen. Ha ha ha, look at this trash. He really knows how to cause a ruckus. Even now, he is still wasting the time of my clan's Almighty. He really doesn't know the difference between life and death. Just the family of the defeated. What does that count for? Once my clan's Almighty takes action, there is bound to be blood. I'm looking forward to seeing Su Yan's pained expression, his eyes filled with despair, and his trembling appearance. Ancestral Hall's surviving troops recovered more and more confidence. They all sneered and mocked. They saw Su Yan's miserable appearance. He had already been chased to the Forbidden Area. There was even a palm that crossed the heavens, about to pierce through millions of li of mountains and rivers. This terrifying palm was already starting to reach towards the Forbidden Area. During this process, the outer regions of Divine Mountain Range were already dim without light. Many experts rushed in from the ancient space-time path's entrance. They all arrived at the Forbidden Area. These great figures were more concerned about whether or not there were other hidden treasures in the Forbidden Area. Or perhaps they wanted to dig out the true reason for Divine Mountain Range's decline. Too powerful. The Almighty really is Almighty. He reached out a hand and turned it into a five-fingered mountain to suppress Su Yin. Everyone present turned pale as they looked towards the end. That was a shadow. The Forbidden Area trembled under the pressure. In this ancient blood-colored land, he was like a ruler that shook Divine Mountain Range. Layers upon layers of killing traps were scattered. The Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor's strength could shake the world and make ghosts weep. He pushed forward, overturning Forbidden Area after Forbidden Area. Where did he go? It seems like our speculations were correct. The item was definitely taken away by Su Yin. This isn't a good thing. Once Su Yin is captured alive, the item will definitely fall into the hands of the Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor. I wonder just what kind of treasure it is. Sun Dome and King Flash's expressions changed. When they saw Su Yan's destination, they couldn't help but admit that Su Yan had chosen the right path. With how strange the ultimate land was, perhaps Su Yan could really survive. Su Yan already escaped inside. After all, he had come here before, but he didn't dare go too deep either out of fear of encountering unfathomable dangers. The sea of killing continued, as if a cosmic flood was roaring over. The entire Forbidden Area was about to rise and fall with rumbling sounds. Large black cracks appeared on the ground, many mountains collapsing, earth and stone collapsing into the heavens. There were many precious lands that flew out on their own. In short, this heaven and earth became chaotic. Great figures moved inside, a few experts even taking action to search the Forbidden Area, hoping to dig out some divine medicines. Boundless killing intent rippled out. This palm forcefully covered the vast region. One could well imagine just how powerful it was. It was like the hand of heaven that could destroy everything. It already penetrated into the depths of the forbidden area, as if it could smash the forbidden area into smithereens with a single palm. Wong. In the end, that unmatched aura penetrated into the ultimate land. This ancient land that had slumbered for endless time was disturbed. In this uninhabited land, all types of prehistoric vicious auras began to spread. Roar! The world changed, as if it returned to the barbaric era. That ultimate land released heaven overflowing flames of war, as if it had been burning for an entire great era. They were all shocked and angered, because the auras of powerful experts were suppressing this place, wishing to crush down with their supreme stance, open up this ancient land. This ancient land rumbled with noise, releasing heaven overflowing blood radiance, as if it was a demonic earth that had previously been dyed in blood. All types of terrifying figures appeared one after another, every single one of them indistinct, as if they were standing in primal chaos. What is that? Many people cried out in alarm, finding this hard to believe. They saw many terrifying figures, as if they were projections of a group of heavenly gods and devils. The scenes were even extremely blurry, but they could sense how terrifying these people were when they were alive. Huh. Ancestral Palace's ancient ancestor's eyes narrowed slightly, his cold pupils patrolling the ultimate ancient land. His cultivation was extremely profound, and he immediately sensed that a terrifying battle had previously taken place in this ancient land. There were many auras that weren't weaker than his. He was inwardly shocked, and even the expressions of the powerful experts turned a bit pale. Back then, something major definitely happened in Divine Spiritual Mountain Range. A portion of the historical truth was buried here. How long? What left everyone trembling was that Ancestral Palace's ancient ancestor moved, walking step by step towards the ultimate land. His divine might overflowed into the heavens, and the entire world became dim without light. In the end, he arrived at the ultimate land. His aura was terrifying beyond compare, and heaven and earth seemed to have exploded. All types of terrifying ancient blood burned on their own, and layer after layer of territories began to collapse amidst the trembling. It was as if a terrifying giant had barged into the blood-stained, demonic earth, wishing to suppress everything. It was to the extent where the aura of a powerful expert engulfed everything, about to cover the ultimate land and suppress Su Yan. However, the ancient land trembled intensely, and it was as if great Tao immortal sounds were ringing out. It was extremely terrifying, and those who heard it felt as if their souls were about to fall. Everyone's fine hairs stood on end. They saw a group of indistinct figures rise from the ultimate land, and it was as if the ancient people from prehistoric times were standing here, releasing one grand voice after another. Sai, every syllable was enough to shake down great stars in outer space, but the words were extremely ancient and incomprehensible. Chapter 579. The ancient land of blood was suspected to be the final destination of the Divine Mountain Range. It was different from the first time Su Yin came in contact. This time, the Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor wanted to overturn the blood-stained ancient land. Su Yin had already arrived. This was the place where the seed of fortune was nurtured. He knew that this place was extraordinary and terrifying, but Su Yin didn't dare to rashly charge in. First of all, whether or not the ancient ancestor could kill his way in was a big problem. Boom! The arrival of the ancient ancestor completely awakened this ancient land. All kinds of ancient blood burned with resplendent light. Drops of ancient blood seemed to have been sprinkled down by supreme experts in the past. They all revealed their bodies. Although they looked blurry, they were filled with an aura that could devour the universe. This wasn't just one, but an entire group. They were like a group of existences that illuminated the heavens. They towered between the heaven and earth, filled with demonic aura, as they released a reprimanding might. However, the language they spoke was extremely ancient and difficult to hear clearly. It didn't seem like the language of this world. In any case, these changes caused the expressions of the great characters who crossed into the divine mountain range to change. The Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor was a powerful expert, but now, a group of indistinct imprints was actually reprimanding a powerful expert. True dragon and true phoenix? Suyin muttered in his heart. He had seen these ancient blood shadows before, but they lacked the imprints of the true dragon and true phoenix. These two creatures should be the leaders. He felt that these creatures were extremely terrifying. Some of them had ancient blood and were full of spirituality. They could even speak the human language as if they were another him. This couldn't help but be alarmed. They had reason to suspect that these people were all-powerful experts. That place is too extraordinary. What Su Yin stole is definitely not a small matter. Bastard, if Su Yin falls into the hands of a powerful expert, we won't be able to obtain him. King Flash and Sun Dome glanced at each other. The two great experts were shocked and furious because they had thought about many things. When they entered the blood-stained ancient lands, they had seen an inconceivable scene. These ancient blood shadows even dared to reprimand a powerful expert. However, at that time, they also saw a shadow that seemed to have come into being along with the good fortune matter. Just by sitting here, all of the ancient blood creatures in the sky were trembling. What was this? Didn't this mean that the mysterious shadow they saw back then was even more terrifying than a powerful being? Sundome and the other two thought a lot and were very jealous. What are they talking about? He seems to be reprimanding the mighty figures. There were a few old freaks who couldn't understand what they were saying. Their words were extremely ancient, sounding like a type of great Tao heavenly sound. However, they couldn't understand the meaning of the words after carefully studying them, which was why they understood it to be a type of ancient language. However, some old fellows didn't understand. The language of the previous era was similar to the language of the current era. Some people were shocked. Perhaps it would be difficult to verify the existence of this place. Boom! The Godly Spirit Mountain Range's aura became even more terrifying. The universe's sea of stars was shaking. Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor stood in the primal chaos, his mouth releasing a great Tao heavenly sound, the noise shaking the heavens. Every syllable was like an unsheathed killing sword, splitting apart heaven and earth, making the blood-stained ancient earth tremble. Don't get too close. Many experts retreated. Everyone could feel the anger of a powerful being spreading, about to burn down the entire ancient earth. However, the creatures formed from burning ancient blood were loudly reprimanding with great momentum. It was as if countless great Tao golden bells were arranged here, ringing in unison to shake down the souls of those who came down. The sound was too terrifying. Even Su Yin was trembling with fear. He was truly worried that they would target him and destroy him. Su Yin's attitude was now respectful. He copied the Golden Maiden's manner and was respectful, not daring to overstep in the slightest. He felt that these ancient blood had spiritual intelligence and couldn't be angered. Only by maintaining absolute respect would they be safe and sound. They are reprimanding the powerful being. Are they going to stop him from coming in? Su Yin pondered inwardly. It seems like there are some things inside that can't be touched so easily. Could it be that they were the protectors of the Godly Spirit Mountain Range back then? His mind was full of doubts. He was extremely curious about how the Godly Spirit Mountain Range was destroyed. He could feel that the great Tao Mountain was in the depths. However, these ancient blood creatures were preventing the Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestors from entering. Su Yin felt that it might have something to do with their strength. He didn't encounter any restrictions and should be able to enter to search for the great Tao Mountain. Find him. Find him even if you have to dig 3 feet into the ground. However, outside the Forbidden Zone, the movements of the demon domain were relatively hidden. One after another, demon immortals with cruel auras fled into the Godly Spirit Mountain Range. They were looking for the Tai Bao Kai. The news of the banners of demons on its body had already been confirmed. As long as they could capture the Tai Bao Kai, they would be able to obtain the Banners of Demons. The Banners of Demons was the supreme treasure that commanded the demon domain. Just thinking about it made their hearts tremble. Once this item fell into their hands, it would be the same as obtaining the entire demon domain. Find it, we must find it. Some demon immortals roared. The Tai Baokai ran too fast. It and Yuan had slipped away without a trace. Honglong, boundless murderous light, rushed out from the forbidden zone. It was vast and boundless like the clouds in the sky, about to drown out the entire godly spirit mountain range. The ancestral hall's ancient ancestor's fury continued to burn. He was too terrifying. Essence blood seeped out of his pores, making the entire ancient land tremble and show signs of exploding. Retreat quickly. The outstanding heroes were terrified. This was the fury of a powerful being, so much so that he had already begun to use force. Everyone could sense that the entire godly spirit mountain range was trembling. Once the powerful being went mad, perhaps he would tear the entire godly spirit mountain range apart. This was an exceptionally terrifying confrontation. Many ancient blood creatures joined forces to resist the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor. However, in the end, their ancient blood was exhausted too much. It was even related to the matter of fortune. Back then, the matter of fortune had absorbed a lot of ancient blood essence. Even though they burned their strongest power, it was still very difficult to stop the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor. The large expanse of ancient blood shadows were indistinct and quickly dispersed. There was also a terrifying pressure that pressed down towards Su Yan. Kacha! Su Yan's primal chaos seal cracked and couldn't stop the powerful being's might. Of course, he had to thank this demonic land. There were all kinds of terrifying blood burning and evolving into murderous auras. For a short time, the powerful being's aura couldn't penetrate here. However, under the continuous attacks of the powerful being, all kinds of burning ancient blood began to dim and were about to disappear completely. Go, let's rush in. Su Yan gritted his teeth and madly rushed in. The heaven and earth's momentum here was suppressed. He found an opportunity to escape into the depths of the demonic land. He felt as if he had entered a demonic abyss. He went in. I feel that there's something special inside. Those creatures formed from ancient blood seem to be protecting the world inside. Motherf asterisk her. Don't tell me this is the greatest fortune in the godly spirit mountain range? Now that the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor has opened the land of fortune, will Su Yan benefit from it? That's impossible. Someone shook his head and refuted. Su Yan definitely can't escape. What energy substance in this world can stop the ancestral hall's ancient ancestor? If he really can't break in, he can just take out a supreme treasure and kill his way in. Many people gasped. They didn't doubt his speculation. The ancestral hall controlled the heaven refining cauldron. Once this supreme treasure attacked, even gods and devils would tremble. It was rumored that supreme treasures could even refine a powerful being to death. Of course, the prerequisite was that they could be refined inside the cauldron. What kind of damned place is this? Su Yan's expression changed the moment he entered this place. The barbaric aura that assaulted his face made him feel as if he had stepped into another world. It was a majestic, demonic domain. The dark red territory was as thick as the sky and stretched across this place without end. The sun, moon, and stars all seemed insignificant under this kind of territory. This place also seemed to be the end of heaven and earth. It was filled with all kinds of barbaric phenomena. It was extremely vast and grand. Countless cosmos and celestial bodies seemed insignificant under the contrast of this territory. They were like pebbles. He was stunned. This world was too grand and magnificent. He thought of the world below, the primal chaos cave. The two types of worlds were different, but they were both extremely majestic. Honglong, just as Su Yan was absent-minded, a terrifying aura transmitted over. Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor's figure floated outside the territory. His figure was enormous, as if he was sitting at the end of another universe, gazing at this peculiar world from the distance. Even though they were close, there was a feeling as if they were living in two different worlds. Wong. Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor reached out a hand, pressing down on this world. There was no need to say much about the process. The aura was too tyrannical, as if it could pierce through all matter and attack this world. But what was unexpected was that his palm seemed to have entered the long river of time and space. The two worlds seemed to be separated by a space-time path. All kinds of unimaginable scenes appeared in the middle. Countless universe stars rumbled and revolved. They were innumerable, and they were suffused with all kinds of powerful auras. They interweaved with the light of the universe's order. It was as if the boundless aura of the great Tao was surging as it collided with Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor's palm. The entire world became blurry. This was an extremely powerful collision. A powerful expert could erupt with his peak strength at any time. As he recovered, the great cosmos stars exploded. It could be said that this was the hand of the heavens. That terrifying aura pierced through time and space. When it came into contact with Su Yan's world, this heaven-like territory emitted the most powerful aura. Su Yan felt that he was as insignificant as an ant. In this world, he was insignificant. Look, all the cultivators trembled. Some saw blood dripping down from the powerful expert's palm. Some saw a palm imprint appear on the thick territory, but it didn't collapse. This caused everyone to tremble. The powerful expert had been injured. Blood dripped down from his palm and dyed the void red. Inconceivable! The divine king sucked in a cold breath. Even a powerful expert would find it difficult to break in. The other world emitted the most powerful aura. It was as if the most powerful ancient life star was emitting light and blocking the power of a powerful expert. Just how sturdy was this territory? It was too inconceivable. It could only be described as shocking. A corner of a complete world. Ancestral Palace, ancient ancestor's eyes flickered with blazing radiance as he overlooked the boundless territory. He discovered that he couldn't see the end. This made him reveal an expression of shock. The implications of this place were too great. This world was terrifyingly ancient. A powerful expert can't break in. It seems like Su Yan's world is preventing experts from entering. I wonder if His Majesty Dao Zu's ancient ancestor will bring out a supreme treasure to attack. The great figures of various races were nervously paying attention. They wanted to know what secrets were hidden in Su Yan's world. The world was extremely quiet. Ancestral Palace, ancient ancestor, didn't take action and remained silent. It was clear that he had suffered a setback just now, but he could still break in. He might even encounter an unknown calamity if he really entered with his true body. Junior Shui Guan pays his respects to a powerful expert. It was also at this time that Shui Guan charged into this world. He bowed respectfully toward the Ancestral Palace ancient ancestor and said loudly, "This junior has a grudge with Su Yan. I beg senior to allow this junior to enter and remove Su Yan's head first." Today, Qin Tian will go to Beijing to participate in the China Online Literature Conference. Chapter 580. His voice was so loud that it reverberated throughout this forbidden region that was on the verge of destruction. Some people were stunned, and their gazes shot towards Shuiguan. All the clans were extremely curious about exactly whose sex Shuiguan had obtained from this young expert that could go on an expedition with Yang Xiong without falling into a disadvantageous position. It was even rumored that he possessed a dual exalt physique. No matter what, Shuiguan's prestige was great, and he was revered as a giant among the younger generation. However, Su Yan had long been one of the giants of the Divine Mountain Range, and he had even killed Zhu Onbong, who had a supreme physique. His ferocious reputation wasn't just for show. He had unrivaled methods in his generation, and there were some who said that it would be very difficult to kill Su Yan unless a supreme being came out. But now, Shuiguan actually stood out and begged the Divine King for permission. He wanted to kill his way in and take Su Yan's head. What confidence! The experts of the older generation were all shocked. Just how strong was Shuiguan's confidence? To be able to stand out and speak at this time, it was very likely that he had full confidence in suppressing Su Yan. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stood out at this time. After all, the great figures of the various clans were entrenched here. 3 of the Divine King had come, and the great expert of the Ancestral Hall was personally overseeing the situation to suppress Su Yan. It could be said that the storm in the Divine Mountain Range was caused by Su Yan. If Shueguan could suppress Su Yan at this juncture, then it would truly be glorious and shocking. It seems like this Shueguan isn't as simple as he seems on the surface. He has concealed himself quite deeply. Sun Dome said coldly, now that he has stepped out, it seems like he has full confidence in dealing with Su Yan. I wonder if he will be a friend or foe in the future. In short, Shueguan's appearance caused a huge commotion. The entire world was in an uproar. If these 2 giants of the younger generation really fought here, then it would really be an exciting showdown that couldn't be missed. Many old deities were interested. With their fighting strength, it would definitely be a fierce battle between tigers and dragons. It said that the feud between Su Yan and Shueguan had already started on the Big Dipper. His father and younger brother were both killed by Su Yan. It seems like this fated battle is inevitable. Now that Shueguan has stepped forward, he definitely has the confidence to take Su Yan's head. However, I feel that the Buried Realm clan's rising star won't be defeated so easily. The surrounding cultivators discussed animatedly. Many members of the Shui family also rushed over. When they saw this scene, they were overwhelmed with emotions. Someone laughed loudly. Our family's champion is making a move. It's really frightening. He even dares to speak to a mighty figure. Of course, this little Su Yan has been arrogant for too long. Now that the champion of my race is here, we'll let him know who the real king of the Big Dipper is. Is there even a need to ask? Our race's champion will definitely win. Su Yan has already lost in terms of momentum. Just wait and see. He won't last more than 10 moves against the champion of my race. The people of the Shui family arrived. Their words caused the surrounding people to be alarmed. To call Shueguan the champion of the Shui family was simply too arrogant. However, after seeing the confidence of the Shui family, they were truly curious as to how strong Shueguan was. Under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, Shueguan bowed to the mighty figure. His aura was extremely calm, causing people to feel apprehensive. The current Shueguan was facing a mighty figure, a figure at the peak of the universe's pyramid. However, he already possessed the demeanor of a peerless expert. He stood tall between the heavens and earth, declaring that he would kill his way over and take Su Yan's head. Mother of Astra's Cur, Madman Su, kill him, who asked him to curry favor with a mighty figure. Some people couldn't take it anymore and believed that Su Yan was invincible. However, Shueguan's tone was simply too arrogant, declaring that he would take Su Yan's head. Otherwise, they would regret it for the rest of their lives. Shueguan, you go in directly. Zhu Yanbo walked over, his divine might awe-inspiring. He was an expert of the same generation as the Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor. He had stood in the Divine King's domain for 5,000 years and possessed great prestige in the universe. He said coldly, I've prepared a celebratory feast for you in advance. Remember, you have to capture him alive. The entire crowd was in an uproar. The Ancestral Hall had permitted it. It was unbelievable. Zhu Anbong had been defeated by Su Yan. If Shueguan killed Su Yan, wouldn't the world say that Zhu Anbong was inferior to Su Yan and even more inferior to Shueguan? However, the Ancestral Hall had permitted it. This meant that the Ancestral Hall wanted to capture Su Yan too much. Perhaps the Ancestral Hall's ancient ancestor was also worried that some variables would appear and allow Su Yan to slip away again. Many thanks to the mighty figure. Many thanks to Senior Divine King. Shueguan's face was full of gratitude. When he turned around and looked at Su Yan, his face was full of coldness. He walked step by step into the mysterious small world. Just as everyone had guessed, the small world didn't stop the weak, but was extremely suppressive for the strong. Once they acted rashly, they would easily die. The vast and majestic world was boundless. It spoke volumes of the grandeur of the territory. However, Everyone's eyes were focused on Su Yin and Shueguan. When the two giants of the younger generation looked at each other, their auras surged. Even this extremely majestic territory couldn't hide their elegance. Both of them had unfathomable potential. When they faced each other in the air, the two domains collided. It was as if two small worlds were colliding, causing the space to distort. It was as if it was going to shatter in a blur. This was an invisible confrontation. When the two powerful auras collided, their battle physiques erupted with terrifying light. It was as if two great suns had been ignited in the sky. These two are both young giants. I really don't know who's stronger and who's weaker if they really fight. Yeah, Shueguan is very confident. However, Madman Su can't be underestimated. Who knows how many experts who have underestimated him have died. I think Shueguan has a higher chance of winning. Today, we'll be able to see the true face of the legendary dual supreme physiques. Many great figures were commenting. Some are optimistic about Shueguan, while others were optimistic about Su Yin. However, they all knew that if they fought, there was a high chance that both sides would suffer. Su Yin. Shueguan stared at him with his cold eyes with his hands behind his back. He said indifferently, "I've been looking forward to your scripture for a long time. I wonder when you'll give it to me. I have the scripture, but do you think you'll have a chance?" Su Yin stood tall between heaven and earth. His black hair draped over his shoulders. His aura was like a rainbow as he said coldly, "You're the one who set up this trap, aren't you? You've disappeared without a trace for the past few years. Now that you've jumped out, it seems you've successfully cultivated the dual supreme physique." The surroundings were in an uproar. Their words could be heard by everyone outside. Some of the young overlords who had survived the treasure trove were shocked. What Su Yin meant was that Shueguan was the one who had set up this trap in the dark. This was unbelievable. How could the two young giants from the Big Dipper starfield be more ferocious than the other? However, there were some who didn't believe it. If it was really him, then Shueguan was really courting death. Too much blood had been spilled back then, and there were still people searching for the mastermind. "Why don't I understand what you're saying?" Shueguan appeared to be very calm. He laughed and said, "Su Yin, oh Su Yin, do I need to use my dual supreme physique to kill you? You're overestimating yourself. I'm still confident that I can kill you." Su Yin snorted and replied, "Since you're so confident, just make your move. I'm afraid you won't have the chance to make your move if I make my move." Shueguan said coldly, "Su Yin, I'll give you a chance. You won't have lived in vain after this glorious battle." Motherf asterisk Kerr, Shueguan is becoming more and more arrogant. Eldest senior brother must kill him. This is an excellent opportunity. Some disciples from the Big Dipper starfield had ugly expressions after hearing Shueguan's tone. At the same time, they were worried for Su Yin. Since Shueguan had charged in at this juncture, it meant that he had full confidence that he could test Su Yan's hidden strength in advance. "My son, Guanjuan, you talk too much nonsense." Su Yin was calm and collected. He looked at the enemy and said coldly, "I hope you can continue to talk big." "My son, Guanjuan." These few words pierced Shueguan's heart. The scene of his father being killed by Su Yin was still unforgettable to him. Shueguan's eyes erupted with a monstrous killing intent. That extremely cold aura made the entire world feel as if it had fallen into an ice cave. The world was bone-piercing cold. Endless cold air swept over. That was the spreading, killing intent that shook heaven and earth. "Do you still need me to ask you to make a move?" Su Yin shouted. It was as if a divine furnace was burning. His precious body emitted a blazing essence blood radiance that illuminated the cold world. "If you want to die early, I'll fulfill your wish." Shueguan let out a long howl, and his entire body rippled with terrifying energy fluctuations. In the blink of an eye, he crossed over like an emperor overlooking the world. His aura soared, revealing an imposing aura that could suppress all kings. Look at starting. There was no need for others to remind them. They had already seen it. Shueguan's aura erupted too quickly. During the process of crossing over, his body was like a purgatory furnace that emitted countless strands of purple divine radiance. He was like a purple sun with inviolable divine might. The moment he waved his hand, purple lightning overturned. It was as if a terrifying sea of lightning was born and began to suppress Su Yan's head. This was an absolutely contemptuous stance. Shuiguan was confident that he could suppress Su Yan in a short period of time. "You're too conceited." All of a sudden, Su Yan's palm soared. His 5 fingers overflowed with radiance and blocked Su Yan's palm in an instant. He wiped out all kinds of purple lightning and said coldly, "Bring out your true battle strength." Su Yan, I haven't warmed up yet. Are you in a hurry to die?" Shuiguan's entire body flourished with divine radiance. He became even more blazing, like a purple heavenly dragon crossing the sky. The aura that erupted from his body tore apart the space. The whole sky was filled with purple light. The world seemed to have turned into a purple ocean. Shuiguan stood at the center. The whole world seemed to have him as the starting point. The sun and moon lost their color. The ocean-like purple ripples undulated and filled the vast sky. This kind of killing intent was too terrifying. It descended from the sky. It's starting the battle of the young giants. The spectators were all agitated. The purple divine radiance that filled the sky suddenly surged. The endless golden divine radiance and the purple light that filled the sky converged together. It was as if 2 great rivers were colliding between heaven and earth. Swoosh! Su Yan suddenly soared into the sky. He faced the sky and let out a long roar. His entire body erupted with golden light. His head of long black hair was scattered and wildly danced in the wind. He was like a golden god of war, piercing through the clouds and mist as he soared into the sky. Under the starry sky, divine energy surged. Under the gazes of everyone present, it was as if a purple sun and a golden sun had collided. The sound shook the sky. Chapter 581. The 2 blazing suns were clashing. Their momentum swept across the sky, and their killing intent surged. It was an unparalleled collision. It was as if 2 divine metals had collided under the starry sky, emitting a deafening rumble that shook people's souls. This was a pinnacle confrontation. Once it happened, it was destined to be a cruel battle to the death. The 2 great experts fought together. Both of them radiated divine energy and activated their unparalleled body. Their afterimages were everywhere in the sky and on the ground. Bam! Their movements were too fast. The battle was extremely intense from the beginning. It was a contest of pure physical strength. The 2 invincible bodies clashed here, and all kinds of energy ripples surged out. Boom! Shuiguan waved his purple hand and hacked down, carrying with it a world-shocking divine might. Su Yan clenched his fist and smashed it. His moves were wide open, and every strike was heavy and fierce. It was full of masculine and domineering aura that looked down on everything. Fists and palms collided, emitting the sound of thunder. The 2 experts roared and fought fiercely. Blow after blow, each attack was equally matched. It had to be said that this was a terrible consumption of energy. It was a battle of spirit. It's too intense. Their bodies are so terrifying. The more they fight, the stronger they get. It's like 2 invincible bodies are fighting. The battle was extremely fierce at the beginning and had reached its climax. Both experts were determined to kill their opponents. No one would be distracted in such a battle. They clashed more than 100 times in a short time. Because the power of the collision was too strong, it caused the space to tremble for a good while, and then uniformly split into pieces. This could not help but be startled. In the area where they fought, large jet-black cracks burst forth, and it was very difficult to count. Roar! The situation of the battle exceeded everyone's expectations. It was even more intense and turbulent. A sea of lightning surged behind Shuiguan. Purple light pervaded the air, grand and vast. He seemed to be an expert proficient in the Tao of lightning. The moment his aura was released, a giant lightning beast emerged from the water and roared towards the sky. Su Yan, I'd like to see how many rounds you can last against me. Shuiguan's expression was cold. His every movement exuded a powerful aura, especially the giant thunder beast behind him. As it roared, tens of thousands of lightning bolts as thick as mountains shot out. Endless purple lightning tore through the skies. It was as if a long river of lightning was surging and whistling. It gushed out along with Shueguan's fist aura, bombarding the void and causing it to explode. Space was char-black. It was full of destructive power. Bang! Su Yin was like an eagle soaring through the sky, and also like a divine phoenix spreading its wings. His aura was biting cold to the extreme. The moment he moved, even the space around him became blurry and scattered. Because his speed was too fast, he was like a cosmic comet smashing over. You talk too much. I'm afraid you won't have a chance to see it. Su Yin roared. A pair of gigantic wings appeared behind his back, exuding the might of the ancestral phoenix. When they opened and closed, their sharpness was unparalleled. It was as though two great sword embryos had left their bodies, slashing apart the river of lightning that was rushing towards him. Bang! Su Yin was as swift as the wind. His gigantic wings were coiled with the power to collapse the sky. He pounced over fiercely like a giant vicious beast descending from the sky. He was majestic and tyrannical. The radiance of his fist was world-shocking. His entire fist was emitting turbulent fluctuations of blood essence as he bombarded Shueguan. This was not a single strike. The sky was filled with afterimages left behind by Su Yin. He had the ancestral phoenix wings on his back and erupted with an incomparable storm of attacks. He bombarded Shueguan with an unceasing torrent of attacks. Everyone seemed to see hundreds of cosmic stars falling from the sky and smashing towards Shueguan. In the face of this barbaric and tyrannical slaughter, the sea of lightning behind Shueguan was riddled with holes. All kinds of energy ripples engulfed towards him. Hand over your life. Shueguan let out a loud roar. The divine light from his corporeal body rushed into the heavens. His aura was completely different. He was like a peerless overlord. His roar shook the heavens, and the sea of lightning surged behind him again, drowning the entire space. Kill! Shueguan's aura could swallow the rivers and mountains. The sky was filled with rolling thunder and lightning, forming a vast thunderstorm. Bolt after bolt of purple lightning was enough to pierce through the stars in outer space. What a terrifying secret technique! The experts of the older generation lost all color. It was as if they were seeing the scene of millions of stars being pierced through. These countless purple lightning bolts contained a divine might that pierced through the heavens and earth. Each bolt was like a giant purple pillar. In a moment, the sky was torn apart. The scene was terrifying. Shueguan could be called the master of thunder and lightning. Thunder strike technique. King Flash's pupils suddenly shrank. This was an extremely rare secret technique that had been lost for countless years. He really didn't expect Shueguan to have grasped the Thunder Strike technique. Once he used his great magic power to evolve the Thunder Strike technique, he could use the endless power of thunder to tear apart powerful enemies. The Shui family's champion is invincible. The people of the Shui family were wild with excitement. They saw Shueguan raise his head and roar into the sky. Millions of purple lightning bolts soared into the sky and drowned out Su Yin. They wanted to sink the heavens and dominate the world. Boom! However, an earth-shaking explosion rang out. Terrifying light burned out. Under everyone's astonished gazes, a figure soared out from the destructive lightning. He was bathed in golden divine flames, and behind him were numerous golden suns. This was a temperature that was blazing to the extreme, burning the void to the point of exploding. Su Yin was like the reincarnation of the Divine King. His majestic appearance shocked the world. Every roar of his was accompanied by the explosion of lightning. He was like an overlord who could sweep through the world. Boom! Su Yin's palm formed a fist seal and smashed down. This fist was iron-blooded and tyrannical. Terrifying essence blood flowed out. This fist could be called an eternal sun. It descended from the heavens and smashed down in fury. Solar Fist. With Su Yan's battle prowess, one could imagine how abnormal the solar fist was. It was enough to evaporate a vast ocean. Just the storm of divine energy alone was enough to bombard the various lightning bolts in the sky. They flowed down in reverse. Countless lightning bolts surged in reverse. This was a shocking scene. This was the world-shaking majesty of a fist that could suppress the universe. How terrifying! The scene made everyone pale. Some people felt that Su Yan was even stronger than before. The essence, blood, and divine energy in his body were too vigorous and tyrannical. Boom! However, a strange change occurred. The various purple lightning bolts suddenly combined together. It could be called a sea of purple lightning as thick as the heavens. It soared up and emitted energy fluctuations that could destroy the starry skies. Solar Fist. Su Yan had already swooped down. The solar fist that had been brewing for a long time was awakened. It smashed fiercely at the lightning strike technique formed by millions of lightning bolts. The super powerful collision and the contest of great divine abilities gave rise to resplendent and dazzling energy radiance. The affected space was blurry and fragmented. The place sank. Their collision was too horrifying. Some people saw blood sputtering out and dyeing the void red. The two figures that collided trembled at the same time and were sent flying in unison. They were both shaken by the power of each other. Their corporeal bodies staggered and almost couldn't stand firm. Su Yan's battle physique was stained with blood. There were cracks on his arms that originated from his fist. The wound was so deep that the ghastly white bones could be seen. Blood was flowing out. Madman Su is injured. The surrounding cultivators cried out in alarm. Many experts who thought that Su Yan was invincible were shocked. How could this be? Could it be that Su Yan couldn't stop Shueguan? They hadn't fought for long. How could Su Yan be injured? It was obvious that he was injured by the lightning strike technique. This made their faces pale. Some people even laughed angrily and said, "The Shui family's champion is the Shui family's champion. He is fully deserving of the title of a young giant." Su Yan is indeed one level below the experts of this domain. Su Yan is dead for sure. No wonder Shueguan is so confident. I feel that Shueguan is qualified to fight a battle of life and death with a star domain supreme. Shueguan really has an unrivaled might. He can actually injure Madman Su. He is truly extraordinary. The whole place was in an uproar. Shueguan's actions made many people tongue-tied. After all, he had injured Su Yan as soon as he came up. Something's not right. However, many experts were shocked and said, "Look, Shueguan is also injured. Everyone look." At first, they were all focused on the injured Su Yan and didn't pay attention to Shueguan. However, when they looked back, their expressions were not normal. In particular, the cultivators who were looking down on Su Yan just now were all red in the face and neck. Shueguan's entire palm was charred black. Even his aura was faintly declining. What kind of manifestation was this? With Shueguan's background, his aura was declining. This was too serious. This meant that he had been injured internally by Su Yan's solar fist. This is going to be a good show. The two experts seem to be evenly matched. These two youngsters are both very powerful. I feel that they haven't used their full strength yet. It seems like this is going to be a long battle. In the end, these kinds of heroes will fight with their lives on the line. A few old antiques rubbed their eyes and seriously watched. Shueguan's expression was cold. His aura was declining, but an even more turbulent source of energy surged out from his body. Shui Guanlong strode forward like a tiger, taking one step after another. With every step he took, his aura became stronger by a bit. In the end, Shueguan's body surged with an aura that caused everyone to tremble. It was as if he had turned into an emperor overlooking the world. His entire body was suffused with a source of divine energy that pierced through the heavens. This caused the experts of the older generation to be tongue-tied. Shueguan could only be described as bottomless. He had actually become so tyrannical all of a sudden. Shueguan gazed at Su Yan and said with a cold expression, "It seems like the warm-up is over. Su Yan, I think this is all you've got." To be honest, I didn't want to reveal too much of my battle strength, but in order to take the head I've been looking forward to for a long time, I have no choice but to use my true strength. His words were so domineering that the onlookers trembled in fear. Did Shui Guan have the determination to conquer the world in the future? Did he have the foundation to fight against the celestial supremes? My son, champion, don't be arrogant when you're outside. Su Yin waved at him and shouted, "Come, let your father experience the battle strength of this unfilial son." Everyone present was dumbfounded. That loud roar was enough to prove one thing. The fury that could burn mountains and boil seas surged out in a terrifying manner, causing the whole world to change color. The sky exploded. Shui Guan rushed forward like a furious dragon, wanting to tear Su Yin apart. Su Yan's battle constitution gradually began to unseal. It was as if there was a small, condensed universe hidden inside. The flames that burst out were terrifying. Come and accept your death. Chapter 582. How valiant was Su Yin? He had been suppressing his battle prowess all this while. Those 5 jars of great Tao evolution liquid had pushed Su Yan's battle prowess to a brand new height. His body had nurtured thick, great Tao heavenly powers. What? Many young experts turned pale. To think that Su Yin had been hiding it until now, and there was still such a powerful force in his body that he hadn't unleashed. This made their hearts tremble. Only a few years had passed. How strong was Su Yin when he fought with Yin back then? Yet now, he actually possessed such powerful battle prowess. They all thought that an old monster was awakening. After all, his divine power was too vigorous. Admittedly, Su Yin hadn't reached the peak of the Great Tao realm yet, but he had used the Great Tao evolution liquid to make up for the deficiency in battle prowess. As a result, the current Su Yin could be said to be a peerless heavenly dragon that had come out of its cage. His battle prowess gushed out, causing his entire body to burn with overflowing flames. It was really terrifying. It was as if 10,000 dragons had come out of their cage, and his blood essence was surging like the awakening of an abyss. Kill! Su Yin roared loudly, his roar having the power to shatter rivers and mountains, the might to split mountains and split seas. He instantly charged forward, bombarding the void until it exploded, forming a huge black hole that was filled with all kinds of destructive air currents. Boom! The aura that originally belonged to Shui Guan was suppressed by Su Yan's peerless stance. He was like a young divine king standing at the peak. Su Yan stepped on the universe and looked down on the mountains and rivers, even in this world that was as heavy as the sky. He was also peerlessly majestic. Just like that, the 2 shadows collided under the sky. 2 boundless fields were the first to clash. The world seemed to be breaking apart uncontrollably. Huge black cracks opened up one after another. The power derived from the 2 battle forms was overwhelming. Especially when they collided, it was as if 2 huge volcanoes were colliding. Boom! The sound of muffled thunder erupted from a sturdy ground. The sound was even louder than when iron was being forged. If an ordinary person were here, their soul would be instantly shattered. This was the moment they collided. Their feet landed like thunder, and their energy bombarded the sky like huge waves. The old antiques from various races watching the battle from outside all stared with wide eyes. Their methods had reached perfection. In a short period of time, Peng Zhuan had been continuously struck over 100 times. It was becoming more and more terrifying. Su Yan's combat prowess had reached the pinnacle. He erupted with his peak strength, and it was as if a fiend god had traversed through time and space, erupting with terrifying fluctuations. Shui Guan also let out a long roar and unleashed his strongest attack on Su Yin. It was as if 2 great divine mountains collided here. The divine light that was produced was like the Milky Way falling from the 9 heavens, resplendent and overflowing into the heavens. Pooh! A string of blood splashed out, dyeing the void red. Under everyone's stupefied gazes, Su Yin was valiant and unrivaled. His posture was terrifying, and his strength was a level higher. His exceptional battle constitution shone, and it was quite terrifying. This strike sent Shui Guan flying. A terrifying wound appeared on his body. It was a bloody hole the size of a bowl. The hammer landed on Shui Guan's chest. Crack! Given Su Yan's strength, it definitely contained a destructive blow. His chest cracked open, and blood gushed out, dyeing the shattered void red. Su Yan's breathing was heavy. His body was also numb from the recoil, but his body was strong enough to stand firm in this confrontation. This is impossible. The people of the Shui family roared in shock and anger. How could this be? Not to mention them. Even the onlookers were stunned. In particular, the surviving cultivators of the ancestral hall and the dark underworld race felt their scalps go numb. When Su Yan was trapped in the ancestral hall's resource land, he didn't use his full strength at all. This kind of concealment and forbearance sent chills down their spines. However, if it wasn't for Su Yan's forbearance, Shui Guan wouldn't have been so easily drawn out. The eruption of this move caused an uproar among the crowd. Su Yan's ferocious reputation soared, causing the old antiques of the various great powers to feel deeply apprehensive. This was an unrivaled young tycoon, and his potential truly made their hearts tremble. The battle isn't over yet. Don't be hasty. Someone reprimanded. Everything was still unknown at the moment. If Shui Guan was only at this level, then he would definitely be defeated. However, many people felt that Shui Guan's battle prowess shouldn't be limited to this. If they were fighting in another world, Shui Guan was kneeling on one knee. His clothes were dyed red with blood. His eyes emitted a biting, cold, murderous light as he coldly said, Su Yan, you're really good at enduring. I reckon this is also your strongest power. It's enough to kill you. Su Yan's reply was very simple. He had already swooped down, dragging along a sky-piercing energy storm. This was a might that could topple mountains and overturn seas. He violently rushed towards Shui Guan to kill him. I have my own methods to kill you. Shui Guan's eyes were filled with anger. He suddenly rose up from the ground. His blood-stained battle physique surged with purple light, accompanied by a deep dragon roar. Boundless ominous light soared behind his back. This was actually a purple, true dragon rising from the ground. Roar! The purple, true dragon roared loudly. The heaven and earth lost their color. Rolling purple ripples were like the energy fluctuations produced by the eruption of a great volcano. They immediately bombarded forward. This was an immemorial dragon's roar that shook the stars in outer space. It began to be released along with Shui Guan's fury. The energy storm covering the sky was disintegrated by the roar. The terrifying roar continuously bombarded Su Yan's peerless battle physique. However, it also attracted an even more majestic roar full of endless shock. It was enough to tear apart people's eardrums and scatter their souls. The immemorial ox's roar caused the golden ripples to boil like an ocean. This could be said to be the innate ability of the golden iron ox race, a great ability created by the former supreme of the demon realm. It was not inferior to the true dragon race's great Tao heavenly melody at all. The moment the two great abilities of the demon race clashed together, everything within tens of thousands of miles was destroyed. This kind of conquest was truly terrifying. Amidst the destruction, the two terrifying shadows once again clashed. Under the starry sky, they launched one super powerful attack after another. Each time, they struck out with the strength of a human at their peak state. It was as if two true dragons were fighting here. In a short period of time, they had clashed a total of 9 times. Each time was more shocking than the last. At the 8th time in a row, the sky was torn apart by the energy fluctuations from the collision. When the 9th time came, Su Yan climbed to the top like an invincible divine king, suppressing the universe with his fists. Kill! Su Yan's roar shook the clouds. His hair danced in the wind. He was like a divine king who had created the world. The power of the universe was released from his body. His body seemed to contain the endless blurry stars, the sun, and the moon. It was filled with an endless and terrifying source. Su Yan struck out with an iron-blooded killing intent accompanied by a demonic spirit. This strike could be said to have blasted out a terrifying universe. At the moment when it soared to the peak, his body transmitted a grand syllable that actually caused this ancient world to resonate with it. Suyan's heart was alarmed. This world was full of demonic power. However, a sharp pain assaulted him. Suyan's heart was alarmed. Just now, he had been distracted and was almost killed. Heavens, Su Yan is done for. Some people were terrified when they saw Su Yan's arm was almost torn off. If it wasn't for Su Yan's timely reaction, he would have blocked it with his divine power. Shueguan's attack would have been enough to tear Su Yan in two. Some old antiques frowned. At the critical juncture of a great battle, how could a decisive person like Su Yan make such a low-level mistake? Perhaps no one knew that when Su Yan operated the initial sutra to a certain degree, this ancient and mysterious world gushed out a bizarre energy which attracted Su Yan. It had to be said that this attraction was too strong. Even Su Yan had fallen into it. Hand over your life. Shueguan seized the opportunity to attack fiercely. You no good. Get out of the way. Su Yan's entire body emitted a monstrous killing intent. The fist he had been brewing suddenly burst out of the gate. In short, this fist was too tyrannical. Su Yan could be considered a golden deity. He brandished an unrivaled fist technique that could be called the universal fist. Everything was about to explode. That peerless overlord Shueguan, whose aura could swallow the world, was bombarded by Su Yan's fist. His entire body trembled as if it was about to shatter. Shueguan spat out large mouthfuls of blood. He staggered back and couldn't even stand steadily. How could this be? Just now, Shueguan clearly had the upper hand. How could Su Yan's eruption of power be so strong? Many people found it hard to believe. Just now, Su Yan's clone was attracted by this world. In a great battle, this kind of clone was a taboo. Fortunately, Su Yan's reaction was timely. But in the end, he used the power of the universe to heavily injure Shueguan. The expressions of the experts from the ancestral hall were unsightly. It wasn't that Shueguan wasn't strong enough, but that Su Yan was too strong. His body was like an indestructible golden body. Shueguan was laughing. Blood was flowing out from the gaps between his teeth. Even his hair was dyed in blood. He commented, Su Yan, you are indeed powerful. You can actually cultivate the sutra to this level. You really surprised me. Reveal your true body. Otherwise, you won't have the chance. Su Yan coldly shouted. The energy of the heaven-mending technique pervaded his body and repaired his injured arm. As you wish. A chilly voice was emitted. It contained an extremely cold aura. It was as if a corner of a terrifying purgatory had been lifted. It was truly cold. Roar! Shueguan let out a roar. His blood-stained battle physique ignited. Abnormally turbulent streams of air spread out. Two kinds of light ignited within his body. It was as if the source of the great Tao had been ignited. The moment it swept out, the dome of heaven exploded. What a terrifying scene. Two extremely terrifying auras seemed to exist within Su Yan's body. They filled him with fluctuations that made all living things tremble. It was as if a true, peerless expert of the same generation had appeared on the scene. The experts of the older generation trembled. They couldn't believe the scene before their eyes. It really is a dual supreme physique. Everyone saw a true dragon and a true phoenix spreading its wings. A purple true dragon and a black true phoenix. When Shueguan's fighting strength was truly unsealed, his aura became infinitely terrifying. It was as if a terrifying war god had come into being. He roared, I'm afraid you won't have the chance anymore. You should be honored to witness my current strength. Our clan's champion is invincible. The people of the Shuef family were excited. They roared and shouted. They were boundless worship for Shueguan. Chapter 583. Dragons and phoenixes took to the skies, creating a scene that overflowed the heavens. This was a world-shaking phenomenon. Following the emergence of Shueguan, he erupted with endless divine radiance that pierced through the heavens and descended drowning out the boundless territories. This kind of phenomenon was too heaven-defying. Dragons and phoenixes accompanied him at his sides. This phenomenon was too shocking. Shueguan was like an emperor standing between heaven and earth, overlooking the world as if he was patrolling the heavens. Our race's champion is invincible. The people of the Shui family all roared. Their hearts were surging with excitement. After all, this battle was too shocking. Even a supreme being was overseeing this place. Shueguan's heaven-defying rise in this place where the universe's Ingjit gathered was already a legend. How could the people of the Shui family not be excited? Shueguan, who had been hibernating for so many years, had now recovered. The dragons and phoenixes rose and fell with him, causing all the cultivators present to lose their colors. Even the younger generation's Ingjia was tongue-tied. Many people were speechless and even felt a strong contrast in their hearts. In the past, the Peak Star Domain supreme beings of the Peak races possessed such prestige and accomplishments. But now, Shueguan was filled with a shocking brilliance. They couldn't help but feel apprehensive. It's him. King Flash's eyes turned cold as he gazed at the true phoenix. He recalled the mysterious expert who took action before Su Yin when the fortune substance appeared. Now, without a doubt, they had received confirmation that this person was Shueguan. Sundome's expression was somewhat unsightly. Shueguan had hidden himself too deeply. At that time, he had used the power of one of his constitutions to seize the fortune substance. Now, two great constitutions had awakened at the same time. This was truly terrifying to the extreme. He was a peerless character among the younger generation. Two great supreme constitutions gathered in one body. One supreme constitution can make one unrivaled in the same generation. Then, two can truly be described as heaven-defying. The older generation of cultivators were visibly moved, and even the old-timers from the various aristocratic clans were astonished. They could even sense the power of yin and yang within his two constitutions. These were two extreme types of energy and could even be said to be the most powerful of energies. They felt shock and disbelief. Dual supreme being physiques really did exist. Previously, Shueguan had been hiding his strength all this time, but now he revealed it and shook the world. Boom! The dome of heaven was torn apart. The power of the two supreme physiques surged like two great oceans being unsealed. The true dragon and true phoenix revolved around Shueguan, setting off his divine might to overflow the heavens. A single constitution was already heaven-defying enough, but with two of the strongest constitutions in one body, it was easy to imagine just how monstrous Shueguan was. He was truly like an emperor patrolling the heavens, releasing unparalleled energy fluctuations. Su Yin, kneel down and submit. You won't be able to escape this misfortune. An ancestral hall disciple angrily laughed. On the contrary, a few great characters of the ancestral hall were silent. They couldn't see through Shueguan's constitutions. They even felt that if this constitution really matured, the future Shueguan would be even more terrifying. This was a serious problem. Could it be that the future Shueguan would be able to contend against the supremes of the heavens? Many cultivators who revered Su Yin were silent. They looked at Su Yin. Su Yin's aura could be considered peerless in the same generation, but now it seemed somewhat weak under the might of the two supreme physiques. This was a sharp contrast. The cultivators who once thought that Su Yin was unrivaled were now somewhat shaken. Could Su Yin block the dual supreme physiques? It's a pity that Su Yin couldn't end in glory. Some people felt that it was a pity. They originally thought that Su Yin was a variable, but now it seemed that they were wrong. Shueguan was the biggest variable. Su Yin, what do you think now? Shueguan had his hands behind his back. His aura soared to the heavens as he looked down on Su Yin. He was like an emperor looking down on his subjects. Although I don't know how your constitution was formed. Su Yin faintly smiled. But you used this constitution to turn misfortune into fortune. Aren't you relying too much on your constitution? Are you lecturing me? Shueguan's eyes turned cold. No, Su Yin shook his head and said in all seriousness, I'm teaching you not to rely too much on external objects. Otherwise, you'll die a miserable death. Everyone present was dumbfounded, not to mention Shueguan. Even the surrounding cultivators found Su Yan's words hard to bear. Even Su Yan's tone was too arrogant. Could he really block Shueguan? Boom! The universe's mountains and rivers trembled. The supreme aura filled the sky, and the entire world flickered. This was the aura of the true dragon and true phoenix. They were too terrifying. Following Shueguan's anger, they began to awaken, releasing a monstrous light. This kind of aura made people tremble. It was like a torrent of yin and yang had landed. Layers of energy fluctuations revealed the supreme might. How terrifying! The spectators were all trembling, stunned by the scene in front of them. The true dragon and true phoenix seemed to have turned into living creatures, emitting an air current that could destroy the heavens and earth. They descended from the sky and began to suppress Su Yin. The champion is invincible. He will suppress Su Yin. The Shui family cultivators let out a long cry. They felt that there was no suspense at all because Shueguan's divine power was too exuberant and full of supreme, killing intent. The cultivators on the field would find it extremely difficult to resist. Moreover, the power of two supreme physiques was fully released. They felt that Shueguan could suppress all the geniuses. The resplendent light made the space blurry. Nothing could be seen clearly. In the scene, people could see the vague appearance of primal chaos. It made their hearts tremble. What is Shueguan? Could it be that he has grasped the energy of primal chaos? Won't Su Yin be obliterated by Shueguan? I don't know. I can't see anything clearly. The battle scene is too shocking. This is the ultimate attack of a supreme physique. The supreme aura is too exuberant. We can't see much of the real scene. The spectators discussed spiritedly. Only a few important figures could see more clearly. It was as if they had fought out a unique supreme domain world. The dragon and the phoenix wanted to dominate all living things and kill all kings. However, within the supreme domain, primal chaos was born. Although it was indistinct primal chaos, its power was also extraordinarily terrifying. It was as if a vast sea of primal chaos was flowing, and within it stood indistinct figures. It was as if a group of terrifying great emperors were reviving the world. How long? Within the supreme domain, a deafening sound of collision was born. Some people saw blood spatter out and spurt out within the bloodstained supreme domain. This made them lose control and shout, "How lamentable!" Su Yin has encountered two supreme physiques. He is destined to nurse a grievance under Shueguan's hands. Yeah, blood has already been spilled. Now that Shueguan has taken control of the battlefield, is he going to kill Su Yin in one fell swoop? In another world, energy surged into the sky. All kinds of killing intent surged. The battle within was also relatively bloody and cruel. Kill! Loud roars exploded. Some important figures saw two peerless figures within the supreme domain colliding in the air. They collided over 1,000 times in a short while, and each strike was filled with an extremely powerful fighting strength. It could be said that two great deities were engaged in a heaven-defying battle. They were contending for supremacy within, and each of their fists drew blood. Hand over your life. Shueguan fiercely pounced. His aura devoured rivers and mountains like an emperor on a journey. The dragon and phoenix awakened along with him. He was like an invincible, immortal spirit that wanted to kill any enemy in the world. He wanted to tear apart the great stars of the universe. In the face of such a fatal attack, Su Yin met the attack head-on. His head of black hair scattered behind him. His moves were wide open as he suppressed forward. During the process, the extremely violent aura struck Su Yin until blood flowed out from the corners of his mouth. His fists were badly mangled. This was because the strength of the two supreme bodies was too great. It reached an unimaginable degree, and it was as if he was being attacked by two young supreme beings. However, During this process, the dragon and phoenix that pounced over was blocked by the indistinct primal chaos behind Su Yan. This left all the important figures of various races shocked. Su Yan's phenomenon was extremely powerful, and it was impervious to all techniques. Although it blocked the dragon and phoenix, Su Yan was temporarily at a disadvantage because of the potential of the two supreme bodies. I feel that the battle is becoming more and more terrifying. I can see the dragon and phoenix controlling the situation. Su Yan can no longer be seen on the battlefield. This means that he is in a miserable state. The spectators discussed. Some people felt that they shouldn't come to a conclusion too early. Su Yan, you could be eliminated, Shueguan coldly shouted. He displayed his greatest strength to bombard Su Yan. They were both facing each other head-on, attacking the enemy with a peerless stance. The momentum here shook the heavens. The battle was even more intense. Su Yan was like a target, enduring the boundless power of the two supreme bodies from all directions. However, he was like an indestructible, murderous weapon, emitting a terrifying spiritual will. He angrily said, "The one eliminated is you." Arrogant, Shueguan coldly shouted. He evolved into various battle forms and attacked Su Yan. After no less than 10,000 terrifying collisions, even the strongest person would suffer great damage to their foundation. What a terrifying physical body. What kind of physique does Su Yan actually have? It doesn't seem like a supreme body. How did he temper his physical body? How can it have such powerful divine strength and potential? Or is it that the heavenly art Su Yan cultivated is terrifying? What shocked the important figures of various major powers was that Su Yan's physical body was too terrifying. It was indestructible. Although his whole body was covered in blood, he was still alive and his body hadn't been shattered. Su Yan was like a sandbag, shouldering Shueguan's energy. He rarely attacked and was always conserving his strength. On the other hand, Shueguan was greatly exhausted. This caused everyone to be astonished. Why was it like this? Shueguan was clearly stronger, but why did it feel like Shueguan was becoming more and more weak after fighting until now? Kill. All of a sudden, Su Yan went berserk while bathed in blood. His blood-stained body lit up and blood energy surged from his body. It was as if a blood-colored halberd had been drawn and split open the heavens. Look, the spectators outside were shaken. They saw the blurry world explode as a figure covered in blood rose up in defiance of the heavens. His body was like a condensed universe as he hacked apart the void and sent Shueguan flying. A string of bloody flowers appeared in the void. Shueguan had suffered a devastating blow. His body was trembling and on the verge of cracking. Su Yan had endured for so long. Once he erupted, he pushed forward in a barbaric manner. Shueguan's soul was shaken to the point of collapse. How is this possible? The dual supreme physique can't stop Su Yan. How strong is Su Yan's body? How hard is his body? Could it be comparable to a divine weapon? Everyone turned pale. Shueguan clearly had the upper hand with the dual supreme physique, so why was he being pushed back again? Some important figures sighed. Shueguan was indeed powerful, but Su Yan was also heaven-defying enough. Although Shueguan's energy was much stronger than Su Yan's body was more solid and sturdy. It was like a condensed universe. It was truly terrifying. Come and accept your death. The heaven and earth trembled as if a Chilin's roar was shaking the mountains and rivers.